Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it's a good evening to you and Taya B. William Haynes here. You there here on this Monday night. It's 10:04 with 14 seconds to go along with it. You are listening to The William Haynes Show on WHBC, coming at you from the WHBC studios in Clearwater, Florida. Got lots of things to talk about, of course, here in the Tampa Bay area. A 2-0 weekend for Rays baseball and a win here on Monday night. The Rays win 14-5. A nice all-around offensive performance, home runs for the first time for a lot of new Rays, and including a new team record in strikeouts with 19. Just one over the record that was previously 18. So we'll get into all that a little bit later. All the Rays games, the Saturday game, the Sunday game, which was a wild one, and we'll get you caught up on all the baseball games that took place over the course of the weekend, as we are more of a weekday show coming at you guys Monday through Friday. It used to be like 9 to 10 or 9 to 11, but now pretty much just coming at you after every Rays game. Remember, you can call the show 352-639-0036. You can tweet your Rays thoughts at us as well at WHBC Stream. The Spreaker chat is open as well. You can throw all your Rays thoughts in there. Doing a new segment that we're going to call This Weekend in Baseball, where we get you caught up on all the games. First weekend of baseball as well. Got lots of stuff to talk about. A little too early to talk standings, but we've learned a lot about teams that we didn't know during summer camp. Some things where we are right. We'll talk about this later, but the Red Sox imploding on national television. They're about to be 1-3 at the hands of the New York Mets. Well, without further ado, let's get right into the Rays weekend until the 2020 sports break at 10:20, where we will give you all the live scores. So the Rays, we talked on Friday after the opening day loss. Toronto Blue Jays scored 6 runs at the hands of Charlie Morton, who went 4+. He ended up taking the loss in that opening day start. The Rays had a chance at a comeback. They put up 4 runs. Yoshi Tsutsugo getting his first home run as a Ray. All of that, we talked about that. And then on Saturday, the Rays picked up a 4-1 win. They got 5 1/3 scoreless from Ryan Yarbrough. He's going to be the number 2 starter, at least for the time being, in this rotation. Kevin Cash said he was one of the most ready starting pitchers, and we saw it. Pretty much his old form, a guy. He went 18-5 as a rookie. I believe pretty good record last year as well. Moved from kind of a bulk inning reliever to a guy that's been picking up some more starts as of late. He looks to be firmly cemented as a starting pitcher now. Gave the Rays 5 1/3 scoreless innings. It was 0-0 when he left the game. I believe the scoring got started with a Reese McGuire solo shot by the Blue Jays, but it was 1-1 there for a while, and then in the 8th inning, it was a game-winning triple from Brandon Lau, who has proven to be the best hitter here for the Rays early on in this season. I believe he's batting about .450, or at least he was going into tonight's game. He's batted mostly second. He did not start on opening night, but it looks like he'll be firmly cemented, at least against right-handed pitchers in the lineup. Definitely has improved during the course of the offseason, so he got the game-winning triple there. And then Nick Anderson and Oliver Drake out of the bullpen combined for 2 1/3 innings of no hits. It was Anderson getting the more high leverage spot in the 8th inning. I believe he got the top of the lineup, and then it was Oliver Drake getting the save, his first of the year in the 9th inning. So that was good. Got the Rays back to a .500 record, and then we head into Sunday. There's a lot of talk about the Rays won 6-5 in 10 innings. Absolute madness. One of the most exciting Rays games I've watched in the last couple of seasons, and you can say that's hyperbolic of me to say that. Anyone that's watched the game, you certainly know. To start the game, they got 2 scoreless innings from Blake Snell, his first start of the year. They weren't sure how long he was going to be able to go. They were saying 50 or 60 pitches was his mark. He walked a lot of people. He was a little bit wild with his control. The fastball looked good. I think he got some chases on that slider. Looked to be a little bit more 2019 Snell than 2018, that Cy Young season. But it's too early to really make a ruling on that. The jury's still out. Hopefully he'll be able to go maybe 3 or 4, possibly even 5 innings his next time out. So this was really just a first time out for him. Ray's just trying to get his feet wet. And then they got 3 innings from Trevor Richards. He looked pretty good for 2 innings. That was something we had talked about after the Tuesday night inter-squad game that was televised. Trevor Richards, a guy that they acquired in that trade from the Miami Marlins, as well as Nick Anderson, 2 key bullpen pieces. Nick Anderson more so, but Trevor Richards, a guy that they like to play behind an opener, maybe get some outright starts. I think he only got 1 or 2 of those during the course of the 2019 season. But a guy that we really liked getting some bulk innings. He did so following Snell, as we said, looked good for 2 innings. And then in that 3rd inning, I believe they had the Blue Jays got a couple of men that reached base via an error. There was a lot of weak ground balls, just kind of finding holes. They got men on base. Ended up in 4 earned runs charged to Trevor Richards. I guess if it was 4 earned runs and they weren't errors. But, I mean, it was close. I mean, he didn't really give up a whole lot. Just a lot of singles and things like that. Death by 1,000 cuts. He gives up 4 earned runs over the course of 3 innings. And then all of a sudden the Rays find themselves down 4-0. And then for the bullpen, it was Andrew Kittredge, Aaron Loop, Jose Alvarado, and Chaz Rowe combining for 5 scoreless innings throughout the course of that game. And then after the Rays were down 4-0, it was Ji-Man Choi hitting right-handed, something that the Rays had talked about in summer camp, maybe doing a little bit. It was something that Choi had done I believe, with the Seattle Mariners in the minor leagues, and then as well, I guess, in spring training or whatever with the Los Angeles Angels during his time there. He's been strictly a left-handed hitter. Took his first at-bat, I believe, early in the contest off of a lefty pitcher, and he struck out. Did not look good with the bat, and I figured, Kevin Cash is not going to send him out there to the right-hander's batter's box again. But down 4-0, he does, once again, off of a left-handed pitcher, and Ji-Man Choi hits a home run. Absolutely crazy sight to see Ji-Man Choi now cementing himself as a switch hitter. He becomes the first Korean-born player to hit a home run from both sides of the plate, so congratulations are in honor to Ji-Man Choi, a fan favorite. I also believe he cemented himself not only as a switch hitter, especially so now that he's a switch hitter, but a spot leading off the lineup, at least against right-handed pitchers. But really now, if he can hit well from both sides of the plate, he's a weapon that you would put at the top of the lineup against a left or right-handed starting pitcher. And as that cut the Blue Jays lead to 4-1. That was followed by a double from Brandon Lau, but they couldn't bring him around to score. And then later in the game, the Rays cut the lead to just 2. The Rays got a couple men on base, and then it was Yoshi Tsutsugo grounding out, but it did drive in a run. So then it was 4-2 Blue Jays, I should say, heading into the 9th inning. The Blue Jays closer, Ken Giles, comes into the game. It looks like a routine save. He gets the first 2 outs with relative ease. It's Joey Wendell at the plate. He rips a double down the right field line. You think maybe the Rays have a chance. And they keep going like this, and then they load up the bases. Ken Giles, who we found out later, was actually hurt and did not want to come out. He lost his control, walked a bunch of people, and it was absolute madness. There was a point where he finally came out. It was with the bases loaded. It was 4-3 at that point. It was still 4-2. The bases were loaded. Ji-Man Choi, who was in the left-handed batter's box against the right-handed Ken Giles, a 3-1 count. So another ball would walk in a run. Charlie Montoya, the Blue Jays manager, comes out, pulls Ken Giles after he was kind of walking around the mound. Brought the trainer out with him as well. It's believed that he's going to spend some time on the shelf, which certainly hurts the Blue Jays, although they did pick up a win in Nationals Park tonight by a score of 4-1. So they take out Ken Giles. They put in another reliever, a left-handed reliever, and a 3-1 count, tying run in scoring position at second base. Ji-Man Choi grabs a different batting helmet and it steps into the right-handed batter's box, and you think, oh man, what a time to be alive if you're a Rays fan. Ji-Man Choi with a chance to do some damage. The first pitch from the reliever, it is high, so Ji-Man Choi patiently and thankfully takes the walk, keeps the bases loaded, although the score is still 4-3. The Rays are down, and I believe the next man up was Brandon Lau. He hits a weak ground ball, I think into the shift, but the pitcher didn't cover first base, and it was a head-first diving play by Brandon Lau, sliding into first base, a really close play. The Rays end up tying because Brandon Lau gets on base, brings the run across. It's 4-4, and then of course I think it was it was Kevin Smith because he was on second base in extras. It was Kevin Smith flying out, of course, after all that pandemonium in an empty Tropicana field. He flied out to right to send things to extras. And so, if you're not familiar, during the shortened season, in order to shorten games, so teams aren't in a park together exposing themselves to the virus for too long. So there's no more like 18-inning games. As in the minor leagues, the player that makes the last out in the batting order takes place at second base with no outs, and that's how they did it. In the Blue Jays, the guy on second base ends up stealing third. He was originally thrown out, but Joey Wendell didn't end up getting that tag down. He gets to third base, and then the Blue Jays bring him across, I believe, with the Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Sacrifice fly. So they take, at that point, a 5-4 lead, and the Rays get out of it. Looking at my sheet here, it was Chaz Rowe, I believe. No earned runs because since the guy on second base free of charge, it's not charged as an earned run. So not a bad outing from Chaz Rowe there in a big spot. And so the Rays come out. The Blue Jays, I'm sorry I'm blanking on these names. I don't have everything on my sheet. He was a Korean-born pitcher, I believe, in his first American Major League appearance. And without getting an out, the Rays load the bases. see if I can find the call here. I know I blanked on it. Let me stall it a little bit. On the screen, we got in PNC Park, the Pirates a 1-0 lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. That game was delayed a little bit by rain. I'm surprised they even got that game up and going. And then as we give you a little bit of scores, we'll tell you all about that in about 5 minutes when we get to the 2020 sports break. The Astros are up 8-5 on the Mariners. I got this call right here. I wanted to give it to you. I'm hoping this is the right one. It's not. I'm gonna get it in a second. I'm committed to the bit at this point. Let's see. Yeah, all right, I have it. So bases loaded. The Rays down 1 run. They had a runner. The runner at second was Jose Martinez. Kevin Kiermaier at the plate. So probably a base hit would bring in a run. A sacrifice fly would tie it, and conceivably send it to extra innings. And here is the call from Andrew Fried. Kevin Kiermaier, bases loaded, no outs.
The shed at second, playing behind Smith, is the tying run. Martinez short lead at first. He swings and lines one down the right field line for a base hit. All the way to the corner. Rounding third at Smith. He scores the tying run. Martinez to third, being waved. He's on his way. Digging for the plate. The throw, not in time. Rays win.
The Rays walk it off. Kevin Kiermaier at that point was 0 for 11 early on in the season. Ends up getting a walk-off triple. Absolute pandemonium, as I said, in Tropicana Field. Jose Martinez wildly being waved around from third, slides in the throw, as you heard from Andrew Fried, play-by-play man for the Tampa Bay Rays. That call, of course, courtesy of Rays Radio, WDAE 95.3 and AM 620, giving courtesy of the call there. It was great. I love Dwayne and BA on the TV, but nothing matches Dave and Andy on the radio. And if you want a little tip, I just figured this out. For any sports broadcasting junkies, however you like to take in Rays baseball, I found on the MLB at Bat app, I think it's like only a couple bucks a month if you get the radio calls live for every team. The problem with having it on the actual radio is the call is about 1 or 2 pitches ahead of the TV broadcast. But if you're listening to it on the app, you can pause the radio call for a couple seconds like you can't do on a real radio and let the TV catch up to it. And then you have it synced up where it's basically like Dave and Andy are almost calling it on the TV. They give so much insight to the game and all those things. And I found that out a couple days ago, and I did hear that call live from Andrew Fried on that walk-off hit by Kevin Kiermaier. So, absolutely wild win. So the Rays, it looked like, it could have gone much differently, especially, talking storylines and whatnot. Coming into tonight, they were 1-1 going into that game, and then they go down 4-0. And you think, oh man, the Rays, the offense had been absolutely stagnant. You saw on opening day, they were, they left, what was it? I think it was 9 men on base. They were 1 for 8 in scoring position, something absurd like that. And then they struggled kind of through most of Saturday's game, but ended up getting that win late of 4-1. And the Rays struggling with situational hitting in that weekend. And they end up coming down 4-0. G-Man Choi hitting from the right side, all of that stuff. Then Kevin Kiermaier getting his first hit of the year in absolute spectacular fashion. I thought it was just a really cool thing to see. And completely flipped the script. The Rays, at that point, were riding a 2-game winning streak. Tied for first place in the American League East. And then, of course, they ride that momentum to a 14-5 win over the Atlanta Braves. We'll tell you a little bit when we come back. We're going to go probably until, I don't want to cut it short, but maybe until about 11 or 11:30. Remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. You can message us on Twitter at WHBC Stream or the chat in the Spreaker where you're listening to the stream. We're going to take a little bit of a break, give you some score updates, and then we'll be back to talk to you about tonight's game and catch you up on all the action around Major League Baseball. Don't go anywhere. HBC. A few scores tonight already final. It is the Toronto Blue Jays 4-1 over the Nationals. The Padres 6-2 over the Diamondbacks at 3-1, their first place in the National League West. The Athletics 3-0 over the Angels. They advanced to 3-1. The Astros, it has gone final. They have won 8-5 over the Seattle Mariners. A couple games in action still. The Royals 14-6 in the ninth. They look like they have that one wrapped up. Sixth inning, Pirates 1-0 over the Brewers. Also in the sixth inning, it is the Cubs 7, Reds nothing. In the bottom of the eighth, this one is all but finished. The Mets 7-2 over the Braves, and of course, or the Mets 7-2 over the Red Sox, and of course the Rays picking up that 14-5 win over the Braves. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
HBC. And at 10:24, we are back on the William Haynes Show, talking all things Rays baseball. Remember, you can call in the show with your thoughts at 352-639-0036. You can message us on Twitter at WHBC Stream, and also the chat on the stream on Spreaker.com, where you are listening to this. It is the William Haynes Show on WHBC. We talked about this weekend Rays game. They go 2-0, a 4-1 win on Saturday, and a 6-5 win in extra innings on Sunday. And now for tonight's game, of course, the main reason for the show, the Rays pick up a 14-5 victory. From a pitching perspective, it was Tyler Glasnow getting the start. He goes 4 innings. His final stat tally, he gives up 1 hit, walks 2, and strikes out 9. Gives up 1 run on that hit. That was a solo shot to Swanson. The Braves take an early 1-0 lead, and the Rays, of course, would respond quickly with a solo shot from Mike Zunino. He threw 72 pitches, 45 of which were for strikes. So certainly a promising start for him. He looked like his form in 2019 when he was, I think it was 6-1 in May. He was a Cy Young candidate. Looked really good before going down with that forearm strain where he missed a lot of time. Of course, came back later in that season and played in the postseason. Another note between Fultonevich of the Braves and Tyler Glasnow for the Rays. That's a face-off of starting pitchers who got blown up in their Game 5 starts in the division series. Fultonevich, that 10-run inning for the Cardinals and that Game 5 in the NLDS, he was responsible for, I think, 7 of those. And then Tyler Glasnow in Game 5 of the American League Division Series against Houston Astros gave up 4 runs in the first 5 batters he faced. He was chased early, and the Rays couldn't keep up in that winner-take-all game. So that was a little bit of an interesting note, the way it played out. Tyler Glasnow certainly getting the better of Fultonevich. A promising start. You'd think next time through the rotation, 5, maybe 6 innings. I know Kevin Cash is going to be cautious about how he approaches the starting pitchers in this season. Of course, they had about half the time compared to spring training to get built back up. So I think getting 4 innings in just 72 pitches is a good sign. When he gets back up to 100-plus pitches, we could see some really good starts from Glasnow, and of course 9 strikeouts. A perfect situation for him. I think hitters that they're having trouble catching up with the fastball. They have not seen pitching, of course, in a few months since spring training ended in February. Braves lineup specifically that struggled against the Mets for the first 2 games of that series. Of course, they pantsed the New York Metropolitans. I think it was 14-1 on national television last night, and they get the favor returned to them in a 14-5 loss. And then you go further down the bullpen after Glasnow gives you 4. Diego Castillo, his first game off the paternity list, so congratulations in order to Diego Castillo and his newborn child. Surprised he was ready to go right off the bat. I guess he was staying ready. He pitched 1 inning, only pitched 10 times. 8 of them were for strikes. Looked like his old self in March and April and even May, where Diego Castillo and Jose Alvarado were making not national headlines, but they were garnering national attention for some of their pitches and the nasty movement they had. It looks like Castillo, as well as Alvarado, really is back to that form after a nice lengthy offseason. So he gives you an inning in which he punches out 2. And then it was Jalen Beeks in a relief effort. It gives you 3 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. And it was Alvarado to finish it out, giving you 1 inning with 1 strikeout. Also of note, pitched only 13 times, which I believe was on a back-to-back. Yes, it was. But 17 pitches yesterday, 10 pitches today. Obviously will not be ready tomorrow, but Nick Anderson and company will be. We'll talk a little bit about that when we preview tomorrow's game a little bit later in the show. And for the offense, I guess I could have structured this a little bit different because this really puts Beeks' 3 earned runs in perspective. So after the Braves take an early 1-0 lead with Swanson, and I will say, the way the game was going, I really felt like the Rays, they weren't in trouble. I mean, I know it's only 1 run. Dansby Swanson, after going, I think, 41 games, they said on the broadcast, without hitting a home run. He hits 1 last night, hits 1 tonight. So Dansby Swanson is on fire. If you're a fantasy baseball guy, I am not, but I've played it before. It was Mike Zunino, a guy that I think was 1 for 5, I think, going into that at-bat. I'm not sure. The Rays have used all 3 of their catchers so far this season. But Mike Zunino, a guy in summer camp that the ball was leaping off his bat, a guy that they were expecting to return to his form with the Seattle Mariners when he was giving them 20 home runs a season, as well as a good performance defensively behind the plate. So he ties things up with a home run and gives you his first home run of the season and really the first positive offensive output. He did have a single that jump-started the Rays' win on Saturday in that 4-1 victory, but Zunino ties it up tonight, and then shortly thereafter was Hunter Renfroe picking up his first home run as a Ray. He hits 2 home runs in the game. He was 3 for 3 to start it off. The first home run was a 3-run homer. I think the second one was just a solo shot The first one, the 3-run homer, was kind of a towering blast, and then the second one was just a liner off the bat, a real screecher. Both ended up in about the same spot in left center. But good to see for Hunter Renfroe. A lot of Rays fans not happy with his performance to start the season. I was one of them. After a bad opening day where he had an error in right field and struck out with the bases loaded, I think a hit at that spot would have tied up the ball game. He was not even in the lineup at all the next day on Saturday. I think he came in as a pinch runner, and then on Sunday he was batting 7th in the order. I think this was good for Hunter Renfroe to kind of reestablish himself. Of course, he had 33 home runs for the Padres last season, coming over from the Padres in that trade that sent Tommy Pham out west. He has been good for an extremely electric and really fun to watch Padres team. We'll talk about them a little bit later when we get you briefed on everything that happened this weekend in baseball. But Hunter Renfroe with those 2 home runs, a nice game for him. And right after that 3-run shot for Renfroe, it was a solo shot from Joey Wendell, my favorite player. Not a lot of home runs. I think that was probably only the 3rd or 4th in his career, if I had to guess. It was an easy pitch to hit, but credit to him, he hit it well. So back-to-back home runs. At that point, that made it 5-0. The game was pretty much out of reach. Of course, the Rays ended up scoring 14 runs in total. I mean, a lot happened. I will say it's good stat padding, of course. The Rays having a tough offensive start early. I think it was good for them to really put on a lot of hits and everything like that. Jose Martinez also got his first home run as a Ray. So it's nice to see all that stuff happening early in the year. Everyone in the starting lineup scored. They did make a lot of late-game substitutions, giving guys like Kevin Kiermaier and Mike Zunino some rest, which, I mean, when you can do that in a game, I don't think they're going to have an off day. I think that they're like playing 31 games in 32 days or something like that. So to give position players like that off days, I think will certainly help. Even, well, not off days, but you can give them, 3 or 4 innings off. If you're up by 10 runs, just get those guys off their feet, have them relax in the dugout. So, of course, putting guys like Kevin Smith and Manny Margot out there. Kevin Smith took a foul ball in the, let's just say, in the family jewels. He was rolling around on the turf for a while, but he was good. He ended up finishing the game. That was when the Braves were down to their final strike, so I'm sure Kevin Smith was not happy with the situation that that ball game could have ended just a pitch earlier and saved him that trouble. It looked like he was in some pain, but of course he finished off the game and he'll be fine. A number 3 catcher that has really given the Rays even some more lineup flexibilities. Of course, I think the Saturday and Sunday games, it happened where they pinch hit for Zunino, or they pinch ran for him, and then Michael Perez comes in to catch, and then you can pinch hit or pinch run for him as well because of the 30-man rest, or you can have a third catcher come in. And Kevin Smith, to his credit, has played well in duties. He was the runner on second base in that extra inning game. He came across the score, and then, of course, Jose Martinez. We gave you the call there. So it looks like all 3 catchers are contributing. Not so much offensively for Perez and Kevin Smith, but Mike Zunino getting on the board here with his first home run of the year. So that's good to see all around. I think now, it was to an extent after the Sunday win, but now scoring 14 runs, I think they have a chance to really put to bed those offensive struggles early in the year. I mean, they were getting hits, but just they couldn't string them together. They were leaving men on base. And I think that's not a good thing obviously not a good thing to have, but you can really run into some trouble. You can't bring men across the score in scoring position. So they can put that to bed, I think, with a good next couple of days and really get cooking here. They're now 3-1, 3 straight victories for them. I will say, I don't exactly love their chance to keep that little streak alive. They have Yonny Chirinos getting his first start tomorrow, and then Charlie Morton in Atlanta. Normally, I know you say Charlie Morton on the mound, that's the best chance the Rays have to win. But I didn't love him in his first start. He struggled a little bit with his velocity. Guys weren't biting on his curveball like they usually do. Things like that. I do have some concerns. But the Rays, their bullpen's in good shape, and they've been hitting lately. So I think that puts them in good shape. I told you everyone in the starting lineup scored. G-Man Choi, he did not hit from the right-handed batter's box, but he was listed in tonight's lineup as a switch hitter. I'm not sure if there's some type of mandate on that. But it really, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter and on social media about, like the 2020 bingo card. Like, who would have guessed, there would be murder hornets and all that stuff. It's just been such a crazy year. I think if you had to make a Rays 2020 bingo card, I think having a switch hitting G-Man Choi would not have been on there. So I think it's just a crazy thing, and it's been a lot of fun for Rays fans. I've enjoyed it. I think it's just a really fun time for baseball. As we head into another 2020 sports update in about 5 minutes, one thing that I guess I'll spend the next 5 minutes talking about here is what's been going on in Major League Baseball, the news today. So I think it came out last night, or it started to, the Marlins. In total, they had 11 players and 2 staff members test positive for COVID-19. I think that trickled into this morning, that total. They were scheduled to play the Orioles in Marlins Park in Miami tonight. That game was canceled, and I believe, at least on ESPN, so I assume it's official if they have it on there, tomorrow's game is canceled as well. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to make that up. I think that's really the least of Major League Baseball's concerns. So the Marlins are not going to play the next couple of days as they have dealing with a slew of COVID-19 tests. And the team they just played, they took 2 or 3 in Philadelphia against the Phillies. Their game tonight against the Yankees was postponed. There was a story that the Yankees brought in their staff from New York City to do a deep cleaning of the visiting clubhouse, which, I mean, can you blame them? The Yankees, I think, are in Philly right now. Of course, the game tonight was canceled. It looks like they're going to play tomorrow from all indication. I don't know how they're going to make that up with maybe a doubleheader or something down the line. But like I said, that's really the least of baseball's problems right now. And something for the Rays as well. I believe they tested negative, but the Braves did have a couple of catchers, Tyler Flowers and Travis d'Arnaud, familiar. If you were a fan of the Rays last year, as Avisail Garcia gets a base hit down in a 1-0 game. He actually tied the game, an RBI double for him. So that's nice to see. It's now 1-1 in the 7th in PNC Park. But the Braves, they had those 2 catchers with COVID-19 symptoms. I believe I saw a report somewhere that they tested negative, but dealing with symptoms, they are not going to be available for this series against the Rays. But my concern there was they just played the Marlins in some exhibition games right before the season started in Marlins Park, which Miami is one of the hot spots for COVID-19. I mean, I know it's pretty much in all these big city where the MLB teams are, but Miami specifically. So some concern there that I know they test every 2 days, but I think there's about a 30% chance, or it's a rate of 30% where you're either getting a false positive or a false negative test. So of course there's not. I mean, there can be some of that. I was concerned that the Braves maybe are going to be passing it off to the Rays. It's not great that they're going to be playing a 4-game series essentially. So it's 2 games in the Trop, and then 2 games immediately after in Atlanta. They did hear on the radio tonight that the Rays on Wednesday morning will fly to Atlanta for that game Wednesday night instead of flying Tuesday nights to avoid the extra night in a hotel. It makes sense. They're going to be doing that as well when they go down to Miami to play the Marlins. They'll just fly to Miami the day of the game. And in case you're wondering if that had any disadvantage, the Rays had to do that last season because of an issue with the plane. They ended up winning the game just fine. So I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I know I've done a flight to Miami. It's not very long, and I think Atlanta is, I think, as far as mileage goes, an even shorter flight. I don't know about navigating that Atlanta airport, though. But an issue that Major League Baseball has on their hands, I mean, we'll talk about that later in the show, is that's really the biggest story going on today. Really has put things in perspective. I mean, you can talk, about extra innings and, starters getting stretched out and this and that, but we have, games getting canceled because, they're trying to trace, COVID-19 cases and things like that. I mean, 11 players. I mean, how do we expect the Marlins to compete if you just slash a third of their roster? And that was the plans that were in place from Rob Manfred, is they would have to step in if a team was at I think the quote was a significant competitive disadvantage. I don't think a lot of them were major contributors. Of course, I'm not familiar with a lot of guys on the Marlins roster. It's a lot of young guys. But I know Jose Urena was I believe the most significant, at least that was included in the report. Of course, players don't have to have that released unless they give their consent. As Eric Sogard bats with Avisail Garcia at third base and 2 outs. The double from Avi was with no man on base, so Eric Sogard is going to have to get hit here with 2 outs to bring in a run in a 1-0 game. We're going to head to a 2020 sports update. It's 10:40 here in Clearwater, Florida. You remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. The Twitter is at WHBC Stream, and you can leave us a chat at Spreaker.com or listen to the show. Don't go anywhere. We got another update for you. HBC. Just a handful of games still in action. The Red Sox mounting a little bit of a comeback here in Fenway Park. They got 3 outs left to pick up 3 runs. They're now down 7-4 to the New York Mets. In the 7th inning, it is the Cubs up on the Reds 8-1. In the 7th inning, it is the Pirates 1, Brewers nothing. With Eric Sogard a chance to drive in a run, and that's all the games that are going on right now. No games that have gone final since the last sports update. We're going to take a little break, just about a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back. You can call the show 352-639-0036.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 636. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:43, we are back on the William Haynes Show, probably taking you till about 11:30 or so, as we still have quite a bit left to talk about. Something going on right now, nothing significant, of course, but just a 1-0 game in PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Eric Sogard did work a 2-out walk, so runners on the corners, a couple of former Rays. Avisail Garcia 90 feet away at third base. Eric Sogard at first base. It'll be Lorenzo Cain to bat against Nick Turley of the Pittsburgh Pirates, so we'll keep our eyes on that game. That's about the most exciting game going on right now as the Mets look to wrap up a game. Seth Lugo is on the mound to close things out, so it looks like Edwin Diaz has already lost his spot as the closer for the New York Mets after blowing a save in his second save opportunity of the year. Of course, he got the save on opening day. I don't think he struck out the side, but he got the top of the order. It was Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, and Marcelo Zuna. And, of course, the next day, I think it was the same score. It wasn't the same score, but it was a 1-run lead. Diaz comes in the game, 2 outs, Braves down to their final strike, and Marcelo Zuna, the guy he struck out to end the last game and give the Mets their first win. Marcelo Zuna hits a really good pitch, takes it out of the park for a home run. They end up tying things up, and they win that game in extras. So Edwin Diaz 1 for 2 in save opportunities, and with Seth Lugo pitching in the 9th inning in Fenway, it looks like Edwin Diaz has already lost that spot. I'm going to pull up the box score real quick to see maybe if they used Edwin Diaz earlier in the game. He did not pitch. I don't know why he would have pitched in yesterday's 14-1 loss at the hands of the Braves. So let's check No, Edwin Diaz did not pitch. It was Michael Walker for 5. So really good sign for Mets fans in a really bare bones starting rotation. And I missed it as I was looking. Lorenzo Cain, an RBI single, ties the game up in the top of the 7th. Scores Avisail Garcia from 3rd. So we'll keep giving you updates on that game a little bit. NL Central talk. So for the Mets, it was Michael Walker for 5. Shreve, I don't know. I'm not familiar with him. He pitches 2 innings, giving up an earned run. Yuri's Familia getting a couple of outs and giving up a couple of runs in the process. And it is Seth Lugo. He got the final out in the 8th inning, and he's got the first 2 outs. He's got the Red Sox down 3, down to their final out. And for the Red Sox, they went with an opener tonight. The opener gave up 2 earned runs. The next guy, Springs, he only pitched an inning and a third. He gives up 5. And that was something that we talked about going into the season. That was going to be what kept the Red Sox from going anywhere. As I predicted, they just don't have enough pitchers, especially starters now without Chris Sale and without David Price. The offense can only do so much. And on opening day, they blew out the Orioles, and it was Nathan Eovaldi going 6 innings scoreless, I believe. And I was on the air that night, and I was saying, maybe the Red Sox can figure this thing out. And then the Orioles blow out the Red Sox the next 2 days, the worst team in Major League Baseball. And the Orioles take that series now here on national television on ESPN. It is the Red Sox down to their final out. So we'll give you the note when that game goes final. But the Mets looking to advance back to 500, and they'll be tied. What is it for first place in the National League East, if I'm not mistaken? Technically, the Marlins would be ahead, I guess, by like half a game, but as they did not play tonight. But the Mets getting back in the mix. Now, if this was an 162-game season, talking about each game like this, just that's not the case. But in a 60-game season where each game means so much, advancing to 500 when you're 1-2, it's pretty significant. Yoenis Cespedes, I know, got the night off, and the game is now final. So the Mets pick up a win over the Red Sox in Fenway by a score of 7-4. So good sign all around for the Mets. Michael Walker giving them a decent start. Michael Conforto, Pete Alonso, and Dominic Smith all getting their first home runs of the year. That's where all their runs came from, was the long ball. So good sign for them. Hopefully, as this show, we talk a little bit of New York sports. We follow the Mets a little closer than some other teams, so hoping that they can keep things going. Certainly one of the more interesting teams to watch in Major League Baseball during the shortened 2020 season. And now the Braves, it looks like, or not the Braves, the Brewers have loaded up the bases with 2 outs, or the Pirates are leaving Nick Turley, I guess, in to see whatever happens, 7th inning, so they got a little bit of time. But it is Christian Yelich. He's 0-2 with a walk. He's only 0-67 on the year, a home run and a couple RBIs. So a base hit would score a couple of runs and give them the lead over the lowly Pirates, who came into this inning with a 1-0 lead. So now, as that Mets game went final, we'll look. I think it's only a handful of other games. It is just now just one other game that is still going, and that's pretty much over. We'll hop into the box score to tell you about that. It is the Cubs over the Reds, 8-1. As we look, it's John Lester. Wow, he took a no-hitter through 5 innings, and they pulled him out. It makes sense he's not going to be ready to go a full 9, but wow. Gave up a walk and only struck out 1, 76 pitches, 5 innings, no hits. And then it was Wade Miley for the Reds that'll be taking the loss, most likely, coming over from the Astros during the offseason to help bolster the Reds pitching staff. Pitched just an inning and 2/3, giving up 5 earned runs, walked 2 for hits, just 57 pitches for him, and then the reliever Antone getting 4 1/3. So it looks like the Reds are going to drop to 1-3. I know it is just 1-3. I know 60 games is a lot, I guess, from that perspective. But from a Reds team that was expected to do some damage in the National League Central this year, definitely not a great start from them. And the Cubs potentially advancing to 3-1. They got a complete game shutout from Carl Hendricks on opening day. The bullpen melted down the game after that, but then they picked up, seemingly it looks to be the next 2 games. David Ross, the catcher on that 2016 World Series team. Obviously, he's new to managing. He's going to have to figure this thing out on the fly, and what a time to be doing all of that. But props to him probably advancing to 2-1. I'm not sure if that game will be wrapped by the time that we wrap up, as Christian Yelich flies out to end the 7th inning, so that game will be tied. We might have to stay on just in case this game goes to extras, so we can break down everything that goes on. But something now I wanted to do was to catch everyone up on everything that's happened for the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball during the weekend. We'll talk standings first, as I think that's probably the best place to start. For the Rays, and boy, does this feel good, the Rays are first place all alone in the American League East at 3-1, a half game over the Orioles and the Yankees. Of course, neither of those teams play today, so it could be a little bit different, but you got to take stuff where you can get it. And then it is the Blue Jays at 2-2 after the win tonight over the Nats, and the Boston Red Sox, who are at the bottom at 1-3. So I think that'll change a little bit. I think the Orioles will ultimately end on the bottom, but a nice little series over Boston and Fenway to open up the year. And then as we go down the Central, it looks like it's all close together. The Indians and the Twins are tied at first at 2-1. The Royals at 2-2. Tigers at 2-2, and the White Sox at 1-2. So the White Sox up to a slow start of their own. And then we head over to the West. It is the Astros and Athletics tied for first place at 3-1. Although the Astros have been beating up on the Seattle Mariners, taking 3-4 in that series. And then it is the Rangers 1-2, and also the Mariners and Angels tied for last at 1-3. And then heading over to the National League East, it is the Marlins technically in first place at 2-1. The Braves and Mets are tied at 2-2, and then it's the Phillies at 1-2, and at the bottom it is the Washington Nationals. A rough start for them at 1-3, although they just got finished playing the Yankees, and now a Toronto Blue Jays team that looks dangerous. And then heading over to the Central, it is the Cardinals and Cubs tied for first place at 2-1, but it looks like the Cubs will overcome that if they can close out this game. They got just a few outs left to get over the Reds. And then the Brewers at 1-2 and the Pirates at 1-2. So the NL Central is all close together as we expected. And then probably the biggest upset, I mean, it's only a game, but it is the San Diego Padres at first place at 3-1, followed by the Rockies at 2-1, the Giants and Dodgers both at 2-2. So they did split that series, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks at 1-3, as they did drop 3 of those 4 games against the Padres. So we'll talk about every team. I guess a good place to start is the Padres, since that's kind of where we wrapped up just about 7 minutes until the next 2020 sports break. Remember, you can call the show 352-639-0036 at WHBC. Stream is the Twitter, and the chat on Spreaker.com, where you're listening to the stream, is open for some Rays thoughts or anything else as well. But the Padres, of course, they did pick up 3 of 4 over the Diamondbacks. Really, I mean, getting some blowout wins. A 6-2 win, a 4-3 loss, and then a 5-1, and then a 7-2 victory. We'll look at the stats. I mean, a lot of guys, youngsters coming up through the minors. The Padres, general consensus, the second best minor league system of all 30 teams. Of course, the Rays considered to have the best. So Fernando Tatis, I think he's played a lot in the lineup, or leading off in the lineup. He's averaging .333. He's got 2 doubles and a triple, 3 RBIs, 3 walks. That's pretty good, in a stolen base. And then Trent Grisham as well. Manny Machado is 2 for 14, or 2-14 on the year, I should say. Tommy Pham is 154, so actually not a great start for him. 353 on base percentage. He's got 2 hits, but it looks like they're both singles. He's got an RBI and 2 total bases for him. And then down the lineup, they've got guys like Will Myers, Jurickson Profar, Eric Hosmer that have all chipped in. Jake Cronenworth, a former Ray, I don't know which trade he was involved in. It was either the Tommy Pham Hunter Renfroe deal, or the one that was Emilio Pagan for Manuel Margot. But either way, Jake Cronenworth, I think it was a two-way player, pitched and played the position, played the field in the minor leagues. He picked up his first hit yesterday. He's 1 for 1 on the year. So I mean, a good start for the Padres. It's only one series, but we talked about it. It's going to be a fight between the Padres and the Diamondbacks for second place, probably behind the Dodgers in the NL West. Of course, now the first two place teams in each division will make the postseason guaranteed, and then the next two wild cards after that. So the Diamondback could still make the playoffs potentially, but I doubt it if they can't get that second spot. So I know it's only thing we've seen is them playing each other, but I think the Padres get the edge in that regard. They're now first place in the NL West at 3-1, so a good start on their campaign. I certainly look forward to how they do against the Dodgers when they finally play. And now let's talk about the Dodgers, and we can get the Giants knocked out of the way as well, and that'll pretty much take care of the NL West, I believe. And then the Colorado Rockies, we'll talk about their series with the Rangers. But the Dodgers, they get the win in the first two games. On opening night, it was 8-1. It was 1-1 for a while there. Both starters, Dustin May and Johnny Cueto, went pretty deep into the game, but then it was the battle of the bullpens, and the Giants came out on the losing end. And then they lose the next game 9-1. So you think, what is going on with these Gabe Kapler Giants? I mean, I know they're playing the Dodgers, but are they really this bad? And then they rip off two straight wins, 5-4 and 3-1, to get things evened up. So congrats to Gabe Kapler, former manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm picking up his first couple managerial wins. They're tied with the Dodgers, of course, after tying that series up 2 games apiece. But we look at the lineup for the Dodgers and how they're faring. I know Mookie Betts has had a bit of struggles himself. The batting leader for them is Justin Turner right now, 467. Max Muncy's already got a couple home runs. And Enrique Hernandez is leading in runs batted in with 5. So Mookie Betts, he's just 150. I know he's played leadoff, I think, at least the last couple games of the series. So not great. In 20 at-bats, 3 hits, and just 3 total bases. So those all would be singles. He did come across a score 2 of those times. Also has worked a walk, 4 strikeouts, a stolen base. So if your leadoff hitter is batting 190, and you're also going to be paying him almost $400 million over the next 13 years, not a great start for him in Dodger blue. Further down the lineup, Enrique Hernandez, he's batting 333. And as we said, he's got the 5 runs batted in. Cody Bellinger's 235 so far in 17 at-bats. Max Muncy's 250. Corey Seager, a guy who's expected to have a big year in a contract season, is 313. Justin Turner, 467. So he looks to be probably the best hitter in this lineup so far. And as we go further down, Jock Peterson is 375. And so on and so forth. So I think really the main takeaway from that, Mookie Betts is struggling early on, and I'm sure that had a toll on them, especially if he's in the leadoff spot. That certainly does not help. And then I want to take a look at the starting pitchers. Ross Stripling went 7 innings in a start, so that's good for him. Certainly. Julio Urias went 5 innings pitched. That was a no decision. And then Dustin May, that no decision on opening day, went 4 1/3. And then as we look over to the Giants side of things, I know they have a lot of unknown hitters and pitchers as well. Some guys that are, making a name for themselves. A nice little, they can carry that momentum. I'm not sure, if their starting rotation can kind of carry them, but if they can ride the momentum off of that series with the Dodgers, they could be in a position to maybe make some noise, but probably not for long, even over the course of a shortened season. Wilmer Flores is leading a batting average 294. He's also got the only home run for them, and then Mike Yastrzemski is leading a on-base percentage with 412 mark. So that's about all that there is to say. Hunter Pence in 11 at-bats has yet to pick up a hit. He's really the best, most well-known name. Pablo Sandoval is 250. He's 2 for 8 so far. And no one else standing out. Brandon Crawford is batting 100. The most impressive guys, Mike Yastrzemski has been good, the youngster. Wilmer Flores, of course, as well. Tyler Heineman, he's batting 444. He's the catcher who's getting some starts now that Buster Posey is out of the mix, as it looks like Jose Osuna is going to run out a single, and the ball gets away on the throw to first, as we're talking about the Pirates and Brewers game. So now the Pirates have taken a 2-1 lead. I guess they're going to call that an error. Now the Pirates have men at second and third with only an out. So now they look to be in prime position. Another base hit would extend that lead to 3 runs. So it looks like maybe the Pirates, I mean, that ball was in the infield. It probably got a quarter of the way to the mound as far as distance. Jose Osuna, who's 0 for 2 going into that at bat, legs it out, and the throw could not be caught by the first baseman, and the throw gets all the way to the wall. So an exciting game certainly there that we have on the monitor. And then to round out the National League West, actually we're going to take a break. 2020 sports update. Just a couple of games it looks like that are still going on, but we'll give you the updates on all those. Here it is. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. HBC. As we've said, just a couple of games still in action. It was the Mets just going final 7-4 over the Red Sox. In the 7th inning, it is the Cubs 8-2 over the Reds, and we've been talking about it in Pittsburgh. It is the Pirates now 2-1 up on the Brewers. And in other news, the Yankees and Phillies was postponed due to some COVID-19 concerns. The Orioles and Marlins game as well. The Indians-White Sox game in Cleveland was rained out. They're going to do a doubleheader tomorrow as we head into a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCStream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:03, we are back on the William Haynes Show, talking all things baseball. We broke down the Rays, as well as preview a little bit of tomorrow's game before we wrap on the show and get you caught up on the weekend games. The first MLB weekend of the season. Very exciting to see. And as we continue to talk about the game here in Pittsburgh, 2-1. Looks like a wild pitch, but no runners are going to come across the score. It is Gregory Polanco, the batter, against Alex Claudio, the pitcher. Gregory Polanco is just 0 for 1 on the season. So in the DH spot, I'm not sure if that's a pinch hitter or what, but runners at second and third with 1 out. So they've already taken the lead, but a chance to maybe tack on some more as the Pirates are looking to get back ahead in the National League Central as they dropped 2 of 3 in St. Louis. I guess the Cardinals were off today. I didn't see them anywhere on the schedule today. Let's see if they're playing tomorrow. I don't think the game got canceled or anything like that. Another thing that I want to mention from tonight's game, I think I left it out. The last time the Braves played the Rays, and I believe that was in Tropicana Field, it was 2015. So some guys that maybe have never played there before, as it looks like the Cardinals got an off day. They'll be at Minnesota to play the Twins tomorrow. Battle of 2-1 teams. guys like Acuna Jr. and the center fielder, who is usually very good. I want to make sure I get his name, because I know he robbed a home run in that first game against the Mets. It was Inciarte. He missed a couple of balls. One that was a home run, but you could tell that he lost it. And then there was another. It was a Brendan Lau triple, which should have been caught for an out, but he missed it off the wall. And then there was some foul balls that should have been caught that weren't by the Braves. You could tell after the reaction, looking up at the roof and kind of shaking their head and whatnot, that they lost the ball in the roof at Tropicana Field. And that's, of course, the home field advantage for the Rays. And I think a little bit it even came in the postseason. The Astros had played there to open the season in March. But I think in Game 3 you could tell a little bit with some foul balls and stuff. It's not easy for players to get used to. I mean, usually you're looking at either the afternoon sky or the night sky, and it's easy to track a baseball, or relatively speaking, easy to track a baseball compared to that. But when you're tracking a white baseball in a white dome, it's easy to get lost. Of course, Rays players get used to that rather easily. But for road teams, especially during that first game, it was a struggle. The Rays would have been fine without that advantage, but it certainly helped. It even brought a couple of runs across alone on that Brandon Lau triple, which we mentioned, which is his second triple of the year, as Brandon Lau, probably the best hitter in the lineup right now. Really has looked very much improved already in a season last year where he was in contention for American League Rookie of the Year. We'll continue talking about this weekend and Major League Baseball, the new segment. The last team in the NL West that we have to talk about, it is the Colorado Rockies, who took 2 of 3 in their series in the new ballpark in Arlington against the Texas Rangers. They did lose the first game 1-0, and they come back to win the next game 3-2, and the series finale 5-2. There was a pitcher. I wish I could get his name. I read it in an article. If I find it, I'll share it. Yeah, it was Daniel Bard. He won his first Major League Baseball game in more than 7 years, pitching an inning and a third scoreless in relief in their 3-2 win. So I would recommend, that story's on ESPN. I would definitely recommend checking it out. I'm not going to read the whole thing on the air. But for a guy, he dealt with some injuries, of course. I mean, if you go without winning a game and I believe the last time he pitched was only like a month or so after. That 7-year gap, I think that's really cool and a good story of resiliency for Daniel Bard. And if he can be a piece in that Colorado Rockies bullpen, that's certainly a cool sight to see. I am a little partial to the Colorado Rockies bullpen. I'll just share a little segment here, William Haynes After Dark, if you will. Remember, you can call the show 352-639-0036 or at WHB Stream for any of your thoughts. Just a little personal story. It was the Rockies were in town and the Rays. In April, it was the second series in the year after the Rays had taken 3 of 4 from the Astros, and I remember we had tickets in the outfield, and we had gotten there early, to beat the traffic on 19. If you're familiar on going to the Trout games, so we're sitting in there in the outfield, probably about an hour or so from the game, and there's a Rays. She's dressed in a suit or whatever, and she's got like the lanyard on. She's someone from the Rays. And she's got a wad of tickets in her hand, and she comes up to me, and she's like, do you want these tickets? They're right behind the visiting bullpen. My guess is they had it for an event or a corporate thing or whatever, and the people weren't using the tickets, and they wanted to make sure those seats were filled for TV or whatever. So just give them away for free, and maybe, to help keep fans or, an added bonus for people that were, sitting in the outfield, whatever. So we go from sitting in the outfield to sitting right behind the visiting bullpen, and I don't know how easy those seats are to get. I didn't look into it. It's something, if you haven't done, I would certainly recommend it, because obviously I have pictures, but I can't share it. I'll tweet it at WHBC on the Twitter for those of you that are interested. But I mean, literally, where you sit in a stadium and you've got the rows, literally as close as the person in the row front of you was the Colorado Rockies bullpen, and you could see them warming up and stuff. And some of them even were talking to us. There was like a whole row of seats. I mean, it was I can't compare it to anything else. It was really cool. In that story, that's why I'm a bit partial to the Colorado Rockies bullpen. They're an obscure team, of course, and they don't have it easy pitching in that ballpark in Denver, where it's a mile high and balls fly out of the ballpark like no other place. So they were really some cool dudes. Carlos Estevez, a guy, he was one of the ones that was kind of talking to us, and they even gave us like some foul ball baseballs and stuff like that. The bullpen coach was kind of being chummy with some of the Rays fans sitting down there. It was a really cool thing, as the Pirates have now driven in 2 more runs on an RBI single from Jared Dyson. As now with 2 outs, they have runners on the corners at 4-1. So it looks like the Pirates, not sure about their bullpen. It looks like maybe they can get wrapped things up here in the first game against the Brewers. So it was just a little personal story. Good for the Rockies taking that opening series. Really, I mean, not great for the Rangers to open up their ballpark with a series loss to a team that's not really expected to do any damage in the Rockies. They have a decent lineup. Nolan Arenado, from all that, David Dahl, Trevor Story, and guys like that. I mean, the top of the lineup is respectable, and, playing in, what is it called? Coors Field or whatever it is, where the ball flies out of the ballpark. I mean, good for them to start the season. We'll take a look at the stats just very briefly here. Trevor Story has got the team lead in batting average at .333, also in home runs with 2, also with RBIs for 3, also an on-base percentage with .538, and then, of course, David Dahl has the lead in hits at 4. So Trevor Story, the best hitter in this lineup, he is 4 for 13. Or no, that's David Dahl. David Dahl is 308, 4 for 13. Charlie Blackmon in there as well. A rough start, though. 83. Trevor Story, we said, is 333. Nolan Arenado off to a bit of a shaky start. Only in 9 at-bats, though. He's 2 for 9, so I don't know if he got an off day somewhere in there at 222. Although he has been walked 3 times, so his on-base percentage is at .417. And that's about all that's notable. I mean, they do have a respectable top of the lineup, something I didn't necessarily mention when I was previewing this team. So don't sleep on the Rockies. I mean, it's just 3 games. And then as we look, Kyle Freeland actually did end up picking up a win. He was the guy that started that game that I was there sitting behind the bullpen. Got to see him warm up and everything. Kyle Freeland, he is 1-0. He went 6 innings, gave up a couple of runs, 4 hits, including a home run. And then Herman Marquez, who's probably their best starter, no decision, but went 5 2/3, gave up a run and 2 hits. And then the other starter, it looks like John Gray. No decision for him, went 4 2/3, gave up an earned run and 3 hits. So the first 3 starters, not bad. I'm not sure who they have behind. Yeah, it doesn't show who the other couple starters are. So we'll talk about that next week on Monday when we give the breakdown on this weekend in baseball. That's the new segment here that we're going to be running here on Monday nights. A little bit probably longer program than usual. At this point, I could probably take us until 12 o'clock, and I might very well do so. But most nights, probably, instead of coming on at 9, we'll just come on probably like 30 minutes or whatever whenever the Rays game ends of a feature reference. And definitely follow WHBC Stream on Twitter. It automatically gets tweeted out the link when the show goes live, so that's definitely a good thing if you want to listen to the show as it comes out. So we talked a little bit NL West, and at that note, I want to just take a little bit. Actually, no, we'll save it for the end of the program. A little bit of a tease. We'll preview tomorrow's game. That'll be good to kind of wrap up the show. So we talked National League West. The Padres have the lead at 3-1. An exciting series against the Diamondbacks. Definitely, they look to be lining up. It's fun. They're wearing the new uniforms, the mustard and gold. I'm so glad they ditched their the blue and gray uniforms, and they're back in the throwbacks. And now as we work our way up from the bottom, we'll start at the National League Central, and the team that is tied for first. Well, actually, let's see. Has that game wrapped up? As I am looking for the scoreboard, that game is in the 8th inning. The Cubs 8-3 over the Reds. So we'll start there. And the Pirates at the end of that inning, the Pirates now have a 5-1 lead. So it looks like they're going to be able to get that thing wrapped up. The Brewers down to their final 6 outs to pick up 4 runs. So little nice run for the Pirates there. So we'll start with the Chicago Cubs in the Central. They will probably have the lead for first at 3-1 if they can finish up that game against the Reds. Looking at their lineup on opening day, they won 3-0. It was that complete game from Kyle Hendricks. They lose the next game 8-3 on Saturday, and then on Sunday they get that 9-1 win, and it looks like they're going to pick up a nice win over the Reds here if they can hold on to a 5-run lead. And then as we look at the stat leaders for batting, it's Kyle Schwarber leading an average at 333. Anthony Rizzo already has 2 home runs. Another personal note, I did see Anthony Rizzo hit a walk-off bomb in Wrigley Field against the Arizona Diamondbacks a couple years ago. As I'll share the kind of stories like that as stuff goes on. Ian Happ leading in runs batted in at 5. Anthony Rizzo on base percentage at 500, and Wilson Contreras leading the team in just 3 hits. A decent, I mean, looking at the scores, they've scored a lot of runs. Chris Bryant, the third baseman, one of their stars, and 14 at-bats, only a 1 hit, so 071. Not a good start for him. Javi Baez, he's 167. Jason Hayward's batting 100. Ian Happ, 300. Wilson Contreras batting 300. Schwarber is 333. Rizzo is 222. Those are the top hitters in the lineup. I mean, I mentioned in the preview show that, the Cubs window is closing, but the top of the lineup is doing okay for the most part. I mean, that is kind of a murderous row. I didn't realize that looking at the team on paper. However they stacked the lineup, I mean, getting Rizzo, Schwarber, Contreras, Baez, Chris Bryant. I mean, that is not an easy lineup to face. And, of course, the Brewers not one of the best pitching staffs right now. In Major League Baseball, really, the National League Central, no one really in that Brewers pitching staff stands out. They did struggle against the Cubs in that opening series. So the Cubs did take that series against the Brewers 2-1, and it looks like they will advance to 3-1. And then as we look over to the pitching staff, as we are about 4 minutes away from another 2020 sports update, and I'll tweet out that picture behind the Rockies visiting bullpen when we head to the break. So it was Carl Hendricks on opening day, going complete game, 9 innings, gave up just 3 hits, no runs. Tyler Chatwood is, that's a relief pitcher. He's 1-1. Yu Darvish is, no decisions for him. He went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 6 hits. As I look for any other starting pitcher, I don't know why those are the only 2 listed. And then that looks to be it for them. That is strange. Maybe they did start Chatwood as like a kind of an opener type. He's 1-0. It did say that he started a game, but he's listed as a reliever. So Tyler Chatwood is 1-0, 6 innings pitched. So I think that's probably just listed wrong. Gave up an earned run on 3 hits. So the Cubs, not a bad start. I was kind of sleeping on them in the preview show, but I mean, with the Reds, that might be not as good as advertised. Brewers, middle of the road team, looks like they're going to be dropping to 1-3. And the Cardinals, I think that they'll probably both make the playoffs because of the first 2 place teams. But yeah, I think those teams are about rough neck and neck. So we'll talk about the Cardinals next. And then we'll go to the 2020 sports break right after. In their opening series against the Pirates, they won 2 out of the 3. They won an opening day 5-4, 9-1 to score on Saturday, and they did lose by a score of 5-1 on Sunday. So what do you know? The Pirates are in position to get back-to-back 5-1 wins. So that's kind of a unique little stat quirk. As we look at their lineup, it is Paul Goldschmidt leading an average. Paul DeJong leading in RBIs with 4, and Paul Goldschmidt does have the team leads in hits with 5. Looking at the lineup, the starting shortstop, Tommy Edman, he's batting .231. He's got 13 at-bats. Paul Goldschmidt, the slugger, .417. I know he had a bomb when I had the game on as I was waiting, I think, for the Rays to come on. So he's .417. He scored 4 runs on 5 hits. Got a home run, an RBI, of course, 8 total bases, a walk. Only struck out once in 12 at-bats, so a good start for the Cardinals slugger. Colton Wong in 12 at-bats is .333. Yadier Molina, of course, the Hall of Fame catcher, is .273. Dexter Fowler, 200. As we go down the line, Paul DeJong, we mentioned 400. Matt Carpenter batting 100. I mean, that's a little bit of an underrated lineup as well. Of course, they did make the playoffs last season, winning the National League Central, and of course taking the Braves to 5 games And I should say they did win that series. They won that 5th game, and then they got swept by the Nationals in the National League Championship Series, the eventual World Series champion Washington Nationals, who are off to a rough start this year. Avisail Garcia, he's 2 for 2, a double, a single, and a walk as he just grounded out to end the inning in the 8th. So now down 4, the Brewers down to their final 3 outs. But a little shout out to Avisail Garcia, the former Ray. Did some damage on that 1-year contract that he was on. And then as we look at the pitching staff for the Cardinals, I know Jack Flaherty and Adam Wainwright started over the weekend, like the way they've structured their rotation. So Flaherty got the win on opening day. He's 1-0, went 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 6 hits. So a nice start for a guy that was really the best starting pitcher in all of baseball in the second half of last season. Adam Wainwright picking up a win as well. 6 innings pitched and earned run, 3 hits in his debut. And then Dakota Hudson, the other starter, no decision for him in 4 1/3, giving up 4 earned runs, 7 hits, 2 home runs though. So nice start. That must have been the game, obviously, that they lost 5-1. So a good start for the Cardinals. They were only playing the Pirates. I guess they could have swept them, but other than that, no real complaints if you're a Cardinals fan. We got 3 other teams to talk about in the National League Central, as well as all of the teams catching you up on everything in this weekend in MLB baseball. Probably taking you up until the 12 o'clock hour here on about this 2-hour program. On this Monday night, you can call the show at 352-639-0036 at WHBC. Stream is the Twitter and the chat at Spreaker.com with all your Rays thoughts. We're going to take a break, get you updated on the scores, and we'll be right back. HBC. Just 2 games left in action. It is the Cubs up on the Reds by a score of 8-3. And in the 8th inning as well, it is the Pirates 5-1 over the Brewers. That's all we've got right now for updates, and we'll be back after a short break.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:24, you were listening to the William Haynes Show on WHBC. Just about 30 minutes left in the program as we take you up until midnight talking everything Rays baseball. We talked about the 2 wins on Saturday and Sunday and the nice 14-5 win over the Braves tonight. We'll give you a preview of the game tomorrow right before we wrap the show. Right now we're catching you up on everything that happened this week in baseball. We talked about the NL West. The Padres off to a nice start. The Dodgers off to a little bit of a slump. And now as we make our way through the National League Central, we talked about the Cardinals, we talked about the Cubs, and now in the middle of the pack, the Reds, who are about to take a loss, and the the Brewers, who are about to take a loss. But we'll talk about the Reds first. They played the Tigers during the weekend series. They won the first game 7-1, and then lost the next one 6-4, and the following and final game 3-2. So not a great start for a team that's expected to make the playoffs after some nice offseason moves to drop a series to probably the worst team in baseball. Well, it's a tie between the Tigers and the Orioles, but the Tigers are up there certainly. As we look at their stats, we'll start for hitting. Joey Votto, of course, leading the team in average at 385. He also leads at home runs with 2. Mike Moustakas with 4 RBIs, and then Joey Votto with the team leading hits with 5 as well. So in 13 at-bats, Joey Votto, 385, as we said, 5 hits, 2 home runs, 11 total bases, 3 RBI. So a nice start for the aging Joey Votto. And then Eugenio Suarez, who I think was second in the National League with home runs behind Pete Alonso last year. He is 0 for 11, so not great for a guy that they expected to have some offensive outcome. Nicholas Castellanos, the offensive addition in the offseason. He's batting 300 to start off, 3 for 10. Freddie Galvis is batting 300. Kurt Caselli, the catcher, 222. And as we look down the line, probably the only other guy worth mentioning, Mike Moustakas, is batting 500. He is 4 for 8, so a nice little start for him. So the offense, hard to say if that's the problem or not. Looks like they're lacking from some of the guys that they were expecting a little more production from, guys like Suarez, Castellanos to an extent. But Joey Votto has been good so far, for sure, the first baseman of the team. And then as we look at the pitching staff, the 3 guys that started, Trevor Bauer, I know he had a nice start. It was a no decision for him, though. That's surprising. He went 6 1/3, gave up only an earned run and 2 hits. It was a really nice start for him. He gave up a home run and walked a man, but struck out 13. He's the ace of the rotation. Sonny Gray, I know he got the start on opening day. He's 1-0. 6 innings pitched, an earned run on 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. And then Luis Castillo, no decision for him in 6 innings pitched, so an earned run on 6 hits. So all pitchers going at least 6 innings. I mean, that's a really good 1-2-3 punch for starting rotation. You got Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, and Luis Castillo. So I mean, that's why people are high in the Reds. You know, decent pitching, pretty good lineup. As we look at their relievers, I mean, guys like Michael Lorenzen, Amir Garrett, as we look at where are their ERAs at. Lorenzen, an ERA of 16.2, so not a great start for him in just a couple of innings. And a couple innings for Amir Garrett, he's yet to give up a run. And then you go down the bullpen. No one that really stands out, but they look like they're doing the job okay. So the Reds, I mean, they dropped a series to the Tigers, but I know there was some clutch hitting. I know CJ Cron, former Ray, has been good, as well as Miguel Cabrera launched his first home run of the year. So maybe just a good weekend for the Tigers. After looking at that, maybe not much concern for the Reds, but they've certainly got to get things turned around, especially as they're getting blown out tonight by the Cubs, right now by a score of 8-3. I don't believe those stats that I just told you took that game into account. So we'll talk about last night's game tomorrow, of course, and all that stuff. And then a couple more teams in the National League Central. We'll talk about the Brewers, who look like they're going to lose at the hands of the Pirates tonight. They lost that series to the Cubs, 2 games. They lost 2 of the 3. Lost on opening day 3-0. They came back the next day and won 8-3 and lost the finale 9-1. As we look at their lineup, as the Pirates look to close out a victory against them, it is Orlando Arcia leading an average with 400. Justin Smoke, I believe, has got their only home run. Yelich also has one as well. And then Arcia also leads with hits in 4. So Yelich in 13 at-bats, he's 0.77. Yeah, I mean, this is a lineup that's not hitting well right now. Smoke, 273. Sogard is batting 100. He was a great contact guy for the Rays last year. He's 1 for 10. Lorenzo Cain is 300. I mean, there's a possibility. It's just too early to tell. Like, obviously, Garcia in only 8 at-bats. He's got a hit. He's 125. So, maybe a little early to judge. Guys like Logan Morrison and Ryan Braun only have a handful of at-bats. So too early to judge on stuff like that, but not a great start, certainly for Yelich, who is 0.77. He was injured at the end of last year. The Brewers squeaking out that second wild card spot. Of course, they blew that game against the Nationals. It is kind of crazy to think that a Christian Yelich-less Brewers team almost beat the Nationals in a one-game playoff. They did have the lead until that Juan Soto hit went right over the glove of that Brewers right fielder, and of course, the rest of what happened with the Nationals that postseason. Looking at pitching, not some great starts so far. Brandon Woodruff got things started, no decision. Or actually, no, he did take a loss. He's 0-1. 5 innings pitched, that was 2 runs on 4 hits. Corbin Burns, no decisions. He only went 3 1/3, an earned run and 2 hits. And then Freddie Peralta, the other guy that got the start, he's 0-1 as well. 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs on 3 hits. If that's the best that they have to offer for starting pitching, that certainly would be the concern for the Brewers. So a slow start for the offense, not great pitching. Of course, they're losing to the Pirates 5-1 in the 9th. They're going to have 3 outs left to make a run at this thing. So, actually, yeah, they have a man on with no outs yet. So we'll keep an eye on that as things progress. And then the final team in the National League Central that we have yet to talk about is the 1-2, but soon potentially to be 2-2 Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, former hitting coach of the Rays, Derek Shelton, getting his first managerial win against the Cardinals on Sunday. So congratulations to him, former Ray. Of course, as we said, I know he was beloved by a lot of people in that organization. Did rub some people the wrong way, but I think generally was liked in the organization. As Logan Morrison, another former Ray, comes to bat with Justin Smoke at first, no outs, down 4. He swung and missed to bring the count to 0-2. Michael Felez, I guess, is the closer for the Pirates now. This might be his first appearance. He's straight zeros on the ERA. Talking about the Pirates, though, they lost the first 2 games against the Cardinals 5-4 in the first one, 9-1 the second day, and came back on Sunday to win 5-1. As we look at their stats, I mean, not a lot of guys that are recognizable to the common fan. Adam Frazier is batting 182, 2 for 11. Colin Moran is 364. He's leading an average in 11 at-bats, 4 hits, a double and a home run. So not a bad little start for the third baseman there. Brian Reynolds, he is 0 for 10 so far in at-bats. And then, of course, probably the most recognizable Pirate, Josh Bell, who participated in the Home Run Derby last year. He is 2 for 10 to start things off, batting 200. He's already scored 4 runs, though, so must have come on those walks. And then as you go further down the line, no one really standing out. Kevin Newman, batting 125, and that's about it. As it looks like a wild pitch to Logan Morrison. He's now got the count even at 2-2, and as we take a look at the replay there, that was actually a pass ball. The catcher had his glove on it, and it got past to the backstop. So now with the runner in scoring position with nobody out, this game could get a little bit interesting. As we said, we'll keep our eye on it. So nothing really for the Pirates that stands out offensively. Josh Bell, the slugger, off to a bit of a slow start. Does he have any extra base hits? No, he does not. Just a couple of singles. That's it for him. And as we look at the starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove, he's 0 for 1. His first start went 5 2/3, 3 earned runs on 5 hits, as Logan Morrison struck out there for the first out of the inning. He gave up 2 home runs in that game as well, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Mitch Keller, he is 1-0, went 5 innings, gave up an earned run on 2 hits. And Trevor Williams, the other guy who's gotten a start, 0 for 1, 3 2/3, gave up 3 earned runs and 5 hits. I believe he was the guy that I watched on Saturday. It was a really great story. The flashback, his first major league win was against the Cardinals, and his dad, I believe, I want to say he had cancer, got to see his son make it all the way to the bigs and win his first major league game, and I think his father died shortly after that game. So a touching story, no doubt. But he starts off the season 0 for 1 in a short start against the Cardinals. So the Pirates, I mean, I don't know the takeaways really. They're a team that's in rebuilding, a team that I haven't predicted to do much. Of course, in a 60-game season, anything can happen. They're about to get back to 500 at 2-2 if they can get a win here over the Brewers. Let's talk after this series against the Brewers is done, because I don't think Milwaukee is a great team either, but, I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you. So the Pirates at least staying in the mix here in the early goings, a nice little bounce-back win for them. Well, I guess a nice little winning streak as they've won back-to-back games. So that does it for the NL Central. And then as we move over to the National League East, this is a fun division to talk about. We'll talk about, let's see, who do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about the Braves first. They're pretty much all neck and neck. The Miami Marlins are technically leading the division by half a game at 2-1. They were supposed to play the Orioles in Marlins Park. That certainly would have been a good series. Two teams that were not expected to be good, but both won their first series. I think that was funny. Oh, it's funny, the first video that comes up for the Braves, it was a video of Ronald Acuna Jr. Pushing G-Man Choi away as they were standing right next to each other because of the shift, and Acuna playfully pushing away the first baseman Choi. That was a nice little moment if you watch the game tonight. The Braves, they lost their first game on opening day to the Mets 1-0. Edwin Diaz, of course, picking up the save. It was Jacob deGrom going 5 innings. I think he only gave up a hit. It was a nice start for him, as we'll talk about with the Mets. And then they won the next game 5-3. As we said, the Braves were down 1 run, down to their final strike. Marcell Ozuna, solo home run. A note about Marcell Ozuna, I think they said on the broadcast he had like a 21-game hitting streak against the Rays that was snapped tonight, as he played the Rays a lot as a Miami Marlin. So a nice little note there, as Eric Sogard has worked himself a full count with 1 out, and Justin Smoke standing at second. And the payoff is low, so now Eric Sogard, the former Ray, will walk and keep this inning going. Eric Sogard was just 0.91 on the year going into that at-bat, but works a nice walk. So the Braves come back, send it to extras, and then it was Hunter Strickland on the mound for the Mets that the Braves just teed off against in the 10th. And then the Mets, they had a chance to come back. I think they had the tying run on the base path, but couldn't bring them around. So the Braves take that one. And then an absolute shellacking last night. The Braves won 14-1 over the Mets, absolutely clobbering Rick Porcello in his Mets debut. So the Braves, after tonight's loss, they are 2-2 on the season. Since they're fresh, it's easy to talk about them. Their offense, Dansby Swanson leads an average with 400. He also has 2 home runs in the year, as does Marcell Ozuna. So a nice start for those hitters. Freddie Freeman's got a 500 on base percentage. Dansby Swanson leads in hits, as the Pirates have a little chat on the mound about how they're going to deal with Lorenzo Cain, who is 1 for 3 in this ball game. Ronald Acuna, who I know is off to a rough start. I know I watched him against the Mets, and even tonight can't catch up with a fastball. I think struck out a couple of times against Taylor Glasnow. He's in 19 at-bats. Acuna has 11 strikeouts, and that's not a great start. A 158 average. He's got 3 hits, a double. I believe that came tonight when the game was well out of hand. Also with 19 at-bats, Ozzie Albies. He's batting 158, the switch hitter. Definitely not a great start for him. I know they were talking on the broadcast that he hits much better from the right side than the left, and the Braves are trying to just make him strictly a right-handed hitter. So with the way he's batting, that change might be coming sooner rather than later. Swanson, as we said, batting 400, the former number 1 overall pick, the speedy shortstop, getting home runs in back-to-back games after going 41 games without a home run. Marcell Ozuna, 267, but he's got 2 home runs already. Austin Riley, 153. Matt Adams is 231. He had a home run in tonight's game, I know. As we go down the lineup, William Contreras, the brother of, what's his name? Wilson Contreras for the Cubs. He's batting 400, but I know he struck out a couple of times tonight. Did not look great. But he's 4 for 10 on the year. And that's about it as we look for hitters. And Danny Hechavarria got a hit. Did he? I guess they ruled that an error because I know he reached base. Yeah, it was. It was an error off the glove of Wendell. That's right. But the former Ray getting on base tonight in his first at-bat. And then as we look at the pitching staff, I know Fultonevich got sent down to their minor league facility tonight, which I thought was kind of funny. After getting blown up, and his back-to-back major league regular season starts. I don't know how he did in spring training, but giving up 7 earned runs in the first inning of that winner-take-all postseason game against the Cardinals, and now against the Rays getting blown up. As we look at the staff, they've had 4 pitchers make starts. Yeah, so Mike Soroka is no decision for him. He went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs though. Max Fried, who the Rays will see soon, no decision, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 2 hits. Sean Newcomb, 3 1/3, 1 earned run, 3 hits, and then we saw him tonight. Mike Fultonevich, he got sent down tonight, 3 1/3, 6 earned runs, 4 hits, walked 4, gave up 3 home runs. Wow. The bullpen, I think, has looked decent. That would be maybe the saving grace. And a starting pitching staff that looks good on paper certainly doesn't help if Fultonevich, they've already given up on him. Maybe he's injured. I don't know what the case is as far as that goes. As the Brewers have now loaded the bases with 1 out for Keaston Hiura, second baseman, who's 1 for 4 tonight, with Christian Yelich on deck. So if Hiura can find a way to get on base, that will bring the winning run to the plate in Yelich. That would be, so Hiura is actually the tying run as they're down 4 runs. So that gets us started with the National League East, talking about the Braves who are now at 500. And now we'll talk about the Mets. I did watch quite a bit of the Mets when the Rays were not on. Of course, they did pick up the win in Boston to start off the series tonight, 7-4. Guys like Pete Alonso, Dom Smith, Michael Conforto getting their first home runs of the year, respectively. They did lose the series to the Braves, as we mentioned, 1-0 win on opening day. They should have had the win in game number 2. They had the Braves down to their final strike, and of course, it's Edwin Diaz giving up a home run. As we saw tonight, it looks like he's lost his closer duty already, as it was Seth Lugo picking up the save tonight. So the Mets 2-2 are back to 500. As we take a look at their stats, just blew through the 2020 sports update. I didn't notice that. Maybe we'll take a short little break after the NL East is done. Looking at the lineup, Michael Conforto, 417. He's leading a batting average. Yoenis Cespedes, he's tied for the lead in home run. They have a handful of guys with 1. Dom Smith, 4 RBIs. And Ahmed Rosario, who's now, I guess, kind of a leadoff guy. He's led off the past couple games. He's got 5 hits, good for the team lead. Pete Alonso off to a rough start, 125, just 2 hits and 16 at-bats. Had a single against the Braves, I believe, and a home run tonight against the Red Sox. I can't say that's a sign of good things to come because the Red Sox pitching staff is one of the worst in the league. Ahmed Rosario, 313, as we said. Jeff McNeil, a guy who's a really good contact hitter a year ago, is batting just 200, 3 hits and 15 at-bats. As it looks like, Hiura got hit by a pitch, so that walks in a run. Bases loaded, 1 out. Christian Yelich at the plate. The Brewers are down by 3. This is going to really get interesting. The Pirates are leaving Michael Felez in for as long as it takes. I guess he's already thrown the ball 27 times in this inning. Christian Yelich tonight 0 for 3, a walk in the 6th, so he could walk it off with a grand slam right here. Like a bases clearing double would tie this baby up. His career with bases loaded, he's 305 with a couple of home runs. The second pitch to him is low, so a 2-0 count to him. I feel like I gotta keep my eye on this. This could possibly be very intriguing. As I'm not even gonna look at the Mets stats. I gotta see what happens in this game. 2-0 pitch. After the pitch is thrown, then I'll go back. I just gotta see. Ryan Braun is on deck. This could get really interesting. And it looks like he's gonna ground out to Josh Bell. So a run does come across, but the Brewers are now down to their final out, it appears. Yeah, so runners at second and third, down 2. So now Ryan Braun with a base hit. So productive out for Yelich. Now Ryan Braun with a base hit can tie this baby up and send it to the bottom of the ninth. I don't really have any stake in this game. I guess I'd go with the Brewers because they have a handful of former Rays in Logan Morrison, Eric Sogard, and obviously Garcia, as looks like they're going to come out to have a chat with Felez. This could be very interesting. But as we go down the line, Brandon Nimmo's 286. He's been good so far. Got a home run tonight. J.D. Davis, 154. Not a great start. Conforto is 417. He's been a valuable piece in this lineup, I know. Robinson Cano is 083. Very rough start for him. Former Ray Wilson Ramos, 273. And then Cespedes in 10 at-bats, 2 hits, one of which was that home run. That solo, towering blast on opening day. That opening day win for the Mets was really fun to watch. It was the only game on TV, and I got to watch the whole thing. A good start from Jacob deGrom, and then Cespedes, his first game in like 2 years, going yard. But they didn't have him in the lineup tonight. I'm sure he'll be at like the DH tomorrow. And as we take a look at their pitching staff, we'll start with Jacob deGrom first. It was a no decision for him, as it was tied 0-0 when he left the game. 5 innings pitched, gave up just 1 hit, no earned runs, walked a man. So just 2 total bases given, I guess you could say, 8 strikeouts. It was a pitch limit for him. I mean, he's the same old Jacob deGrom that's won the Cy Young Award the last 2 years. So that's good for a rotation that's missing Syndergaard and Stroman. Stroman at least for the start of this year. Noah Syndergaard is out with Tommy John. Steven Matz, I know he had a good start. No decision, 6 innings pitched, and earned run, 2 hits. That was the game that they lost in extras. And then, I don't know why they don't have it on here, the Rick Porcello. He is 0-1, just 2 innings pitched on that game that they lost 14-1. 7 hits, 6 earned runs, so not the start that the Mets or Rick Porcello was hoping for. And then as we look around, Michael Wacha tonight, he is 1-0, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, just 1 earned run. That was a solo shot, it appears. Walked a man, 4 strikeouts, so a nice start for a guy who I believe did not play very well last year. The Mets got him on a minor league deal, so if he can pitch well, that's great. The bullpen looks to be good as well. I don't know why ESPN makes it so hard to look at stats. Seth Lugo, he got the save tonight. He looks to be the new closer for now. He's also has a win to his name. Guys like Edwin Diaz, his ERA is 4.50. I think that's a little bit skewed just because it's so early. And then also in relief, guys like Uris Familia, Justin Wilson, Dylan Betances. Dylan Betances only has 2/3 innings pitched. Hunter Strickland, I know, is a guy that has not been great. In 1 1/3, he's given up 2 earned runs for an ERA of 13.50. He got tagged for the loss in that extra inning game. As we look at Ryan Braun, Ryan Braun just stepped back from a baseball that could have easily hit him in the leg and reloaded the bases. Of course, Ryan Braun 0 for 4. Former steroid user, doesn't wear the pitch right there. If he records the final out, I think some Brewers fans are going to have some not so nice words for Ryan Braun. As we said, he's 0 for 4. But with runners at second and third, 2-run game, a base hit would tie this baby up. The Pirates did make a pitching change. It is Kyle Crick, who now has Ryan Braun in a 2-1 count. He just took a pitch on the outside. Did they seriously just call that a strike? Oh man, that was nowhere near being a strike on the outside part of the plate. But 1-2, so the Brewers down to their final strike. I guess I'll just give you the rest of this at bat. It's crazy how close this game could be. A base hit would tie it, and one more strike would end it for the Brewers. Here's the 1-2. And it is going to get down for a base hit. It gets all the way down to the wall. That's going to tie it. It's going to be a double for Ryan Braun. What a game this has been. It was 1-0 when we started the show. The Brewers tie it, and now they have retied it It is 5-5 with Ryan Braun standing at second base and Jed Giorgio that will bat next with Avisail Garcia in the hole. It was a slider that was kind of down and kind of inside. It started right at Ryan Braun and then worked its way into the plate. And he hit it, really got it right down the left field line, rolled all the way down to the wall for a 2 RBI double. And this game is tied up at 5. Not what I was expecting when I put this game on my monitor at 1-0. Thought it would just be a sleepy kind of game that I could have on to talk about. But what a game that it's turned out to be here on this Monday night as we approach midnight. A game that was delayed for rain for like a couple hours at least. So whoever wins this is going to be very happy. You never want to come out after a long rain delay and lose, especially when the Pirates had a 5-1 lead coming into this inning. So completely, I guess, flipping the script for the Brewers. If they can get this win, maybe they can ride that momentum. Who knows? In an empty PNC Park. So it is a 1-0 count. They did pinch hit for him. It's Narvaez, who is first. It's saying he's 0-for-0 in this game, but he's 125 on the year. The Brewers do have Josh Hader warming up in the bullpen, their best bullpen piece. So I guess whether it's tied or they have the lead, they're going to send out their best reliever. And then, of course, it'll go to extras. So it makes sense to use Josh Hader, I guess, in this spot to make sure that there is extra innings or a Brewers win. We got all the way through the Mets, talking about them, the starters, the bullpen, the hitting. I think they're a well-balanced team, 2-2. Sounds about right for them. They did have a tough break against the Braves in that one game. They should be 3-1. But it is early in the season, and they're playing a really bad Red Sox team for the next 3 games. So I think the Mets will be on the up and ups when we're talking about the next Monday on this weekend in baseball. And then to round out, I do have a handful of teams more in the NL East, as I'm going to start blowing through because I don't want to go too much past the 12 o'clock hour. I guess we do have to see this Pirates-Brewers game to the finish. I guess I can't just end on that note. So I guess when that game ends, then I'll just put a quick wrap on the show, because I can't, in a right mind, end this show without telling you how this game wraps. Certainly it will be an entertaining finish. It is now a full count to Omar Narvaez, with Ryan Braun standing at second. 2 outs, tied game in the 9th. If he walks or reaches base, whatever, it'll be Avisail Garcia next, the former Ray. Justin Smoke in the hole, who started this inning, so they've pretty much worked their way all around in this little comeback here, down 5-1. Certainly an exciting game if you are a Brewers fan, no doubt. First home game for the Pirates of the season. As my my monitor is lagging, I'm afraid I'm going to lose this game right as it gets interesting. We'll see. Payoff pitch coming up. And here it is. And it's fouled back. I guess I got to keep this going as we got the game on. A couple more teams in the NL East. We'll blow through them real quick because they don't appear to be in good shape. The Phillies, who are 1-2, they lost their series at home against the Marlins. A 5-2 loss, a 7-1 win, and an 11-6 loss. They did have their game canceled tonight against the Yankees due to the concerns that the Marlins have maybe given them. Some COVID-19 cases. They are going to wait for their test, which I believe we were supposed to have tonight, but I've not seen any reports of such thing. And there's another payoff pitch to Narvaez. And that ball is just foul. They got it right in between the third baseman and the left fielder. If that had dropped in for a base hit, would have given the Brewers the lead. A little blooper. But he does stay alive at 3-2. I'm hoping that he can walk so they can bring up Avisail Garcia. I'd love to see him give the Brewers the lead and have Josh Hader on in a save situation. That would be certainly a nice way to wrap the show. Hitting for the Phillies, JT Realmuto is 154 in the year. He's got a home run, though, but not a great start. Another payoff pitch, and that one is flied out to the second baseman. So we're going to the bottom of the 9th, so either the Pirates are going to walk this thing off or head to extras it is Brian Reynolds, Guillermo Heredia, and Jorge Polanco due up when that game comes back. So we'll blow through some of these teams quickly so we can focus on that. Gene Segura for the Phillies, 167. Didi Gregorius, he's been the bright spot, I know for sure. 364. He's got a couple of home runs and 11 at-bats already, so 4 hits total. Scott Kingery is only batting 100. Bryce Harper is 222, a rough start. 2 hits in 9 at-bats. He's got a home run, though. Andrew McCutchen is yet to get a hit in 9 at-bats. Jay Bruce is 2 for 8. Reese Hoskins is 2 for 8 as well. And that's about all worth noting. I mean, that's a good lineup as we talked about in the preview show. That's a hard lineup to line up against, but if they're not hitting well, obviously the Marlins took advantage of that. And as we take a little peek at the pitching stats so far, I know Aaron Nola got the loss on opening day. Yeah, 5 and a third innings pitched, 4 earned runs on 5 hits. And then it was Zach Wheeler getting a win. Wow, 7 innings pitched, an earned run on 5 hits. That was a very nice start for him. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The former Met. I know the Mets would love to have him in their starting rotation. And then the other starter was Vince Velasquez. No decision for him. Went 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 3 hits. That must have been another game that the Phillies lost as well. So, not a great look for the pitching staff. I mean, Zach Wheeler is good, but Nola was okay. Velasquez, not good at all. And the other 2 people to have in their rotation cannot be much better. I mean, looking at the bullpen, Cole Irvin, a guy they had take a loss. I mean, no one really in this bullpen stands out. That was the weakness of their team last year, but something that I had heard to the effect that the Phillies in their last 2 seasons had a really good record in their first 60 games, and then after that, the rotation and the bullpen got worn out. So the feeling around them was that their lineup was going to help kind of alleviate that. And if the pitching staff could just hold it together with super glue for 60 games, that they could sneak into the postseason, as now Josh Hader comes onto the mound to try and keep this baby tied. I would assume that, I don't know if he pitched yesterday or the day before, but I would assume they try to get 2 innings out of him, keep it tight here in the 9th, and then have him maybe close out in the 10th that the Brewers can bring that runner home from second. There's been a lot of people griping about the extra inning rule. I kind of like it. I mean, of course, the Rays are 1-0 in extra inning games this year, but I mean, I can't remember last time an extra inning game was that exciting. Too often it goes 10th inning, 11th inning, 11th inning, 12th inning. What happens is every player that comes up to bat just wants to end the game in one swing, because a solo home run pretty much means the game's over, just by the nature of only having, 1 inning to respond, or if it's tied, to walk it off. So I think having a runner at second base, brings more base hits, bunts, sacrifice flies, that kind of stuff. And the game is over quicker, which certainly is what baseball wants, and I don't think is a bad thing either. As we are 2 minutes away from the midnight, as we'll creep a little bit into the 12 o'clock hour. I always go more into the show than I think I do. We're just about through the second hour of the program, and we have the entire American League to talk about this weekend. And then, of course, we have to stick out the rest of this Pirates and Braves game. Or, I don't know, why do I keep saying Braves? Pirates and Brewers game. I've been watching the Braves so much. I play the Mets, and tonight the Rays. I'm losing my mind. 1-1 count to Reynolds, and he takes a strike on the at the knees. Looking at the rest of... So, the Phillies, I'll say, not a great start for them. They're 1-2. They're supposed to play the Yankees tonight. That would be a good test for them. I say at home, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of advantage. I'm not sure. But seeing them play the Yankees in Philly, I think would be a good gauge to see where they're at. Hopefully we'll see them play tomorrow. I don't think the game is planning on being canceled. They just wanted to see kind of if they would have some blow-up in tests because of the Marlins having so many positive tests. Remember, the Marlins, 11 players, 2 staff members testing positive over the course of the last 24 hours, essentially, as they're quarantining actually in Philadelphia until they can get, I guess, more test results. They were scheduled to be in Miami playing the Orioles tonight. And I guess that's a good segue into the next team we'll talk about. the Miami Marlins, and then we'll save the Nationals for last. The Miami Marlins, they did pick up, because we just talked about the Phillies, they did win 2 out of the 3 games against the Phillies. Won the first one 5-2, then took a 7-1 loss, an 11-6 victory, as it looks like Brian Reynolds is going to ground out for the first out of the inning. And then it'll be Guillermo Heredia, the former Ray, batting next. Nice to see him starting every day, a guy that was an extra outfielder for the Rays last year, a clubhouse favorite. Basically, the Miami Marlins at 2-1. It sums up best by the headline article on their ESPN page. Manfred confident that the Marlins outbreak can be managed. Basically, the comment he made today, saying that it's not kind of a milk toast kind of quote. It's not what we want to see, but we're confident in the protocols that we have in place to kind of handle this. I don't think he mentioned it, but this is certainly the biggest test that baseball has faced since they came back, and I think how they respond to the situation. If they handle it well, I think it'll show that the MLB can handle future blow-ups, and if they struggle with it, I think this 2020 season, their days are numbered, and I don't see how they make it to a postseason, let alone crowning a champion. Honestly, when I saw the news this morning, I was like, I'm glad the Rays had that wild win with G-Man Choi hitting righty and that extra inning walk-off hit from Kevin Kiermaier, because I was like, that was probably the best moment that we're going to get, and possibly the last, but the season is, of course, on. It's going to keep going. I'm not going to say it's on life support just yet. I don't see how they're going to be able to make up these games, because I heard something today that because the Marlins are going to be missing like a third of their team, that they are not going to be able to play for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, how do you make up all of those games? I mean, it just can't be done. I think we're going to have to kind of cross that bridge when we get to it. It's too early to talk about that now. The tests are still rolling in. So I think that'll be a highlight on tomorrow's show for certain. At 12:01, we're going to take a break. Hopefully the Pirates don't walk it off in the meantime. It's funny, they're showing on the broadcast that it has struck midnight there in Pittsburgh. Remember, you can call the show, 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We thank everyone that's tuned in to the show tonight, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 12:03, we're back on the William Haynes Show, creeping into the third hour of the program here on this Monday night. Not nearly as long as I anticipated to go, but part of the excitement of this Pirates-Brewers game has kept me in it. Guillermo Heredia during the break did end up working a walk, and now a strikeout for Gregory Polanco for the first out of the inning. So it's one out, or no, that was the second out of the inning. So 2 outs, 1 on for Jacob Stallings with Guillermo Heredia at first. So I would anticipate maybe they have him run, and then a base hit would walk it off. That would be my guess. I'm not sure how good that catcher is at catching people stealing. Not a good at bat for Gregor Polanco. He's now 0-4 in the night. He just chased a bunch of pitches. I think he just wanted to kind of be the hero. But now with Josh Hader, just 1 out left to get. He's got a man on first. Now facing Jacob Stallings. The first pitch to him is fouled away. Now it's funny. Like I got like the Washington Nationals up as we finish out the National League and the National League East. But I know I can start talking about the Nationals, and then something can happen in this game. Jacob Stallings tonight 0 for 2. He walked in the 7th inning and ended up coming across to score. The count is 0-1, and the pitch is outside, so count even now at a ball and a strike. As this game, I mean, man, this is it's good. As we said, if you're just joining us, the Pirates were up 1-0 when the show started. The Brewers tied it at 1-1, and then the Pirates broke back out 5-1. And now in the top of the ninth, the Brewers came all the way back, scoring 4. It was Ryan Braun, 2 RBI double to tie things up. And they couldn't walk it off with a man on second, as that's going to be a pop-up for Jacob Stallings, and it is caught by Avisail Garcia, so we are headed to extras. So I guess that's a good way maybe to wrap it up, because I guarantee this game will be done after 10, the way things have gone. That's been the record, I think, 3 extra inning games, if I'm not mistaken. It was the Grand Slam for Olsen on opening night that gave the A's the win, and then that Mets game that ended in 10, and then, of course, the Rays game, which was absolutely exhilarating. Kevin Kiermaier walking the baby off. That was insane. So we'll talk about the Washington Nationals now, the last team in the National League East and the National League altogether. They are 1-3, a tough start for them. On opening night, they lost 4-1. It was Max Scherzer against Garrett Cole. The game got rained out after 5.5 innings, but it was Garrett Cole walking away with the win. They got beat up by the Yankees hitters. I mean, they won 9-2 the next day, did the Nationals, and then they blew a game. I didn't watch it, but they were talking about it on the Rays broadcast. The Nationals basically gave that third game away 3-2. So I guess the story would be a lot different if they had a series victory over the New York Yankees, but they did also lose to the Blue Jays, a team that we now know very well. We have become accustomed to the 2020 Blue Jays. The Nationals did lose to them 4-1 today to drop to 1-3. So as we took a look at their stats, Victor Robles is leading the team in average at .417. Adam Eaton leading in hits. They have a couple of guys that are tied for first in home runs. Adam Eaton has one. Trey Turner has one. Victor Robles has one. And also Michael A. Taylor has one as well. As we go through the lineup, Adam Eaton, .333, a double and a home run. Trey Turner's .267. He's got a home run, as we said. Starlin Castro's .286. Asdrubal Cabrera, a nice start for him, .308, including a home run. Victor Robles, .417, a home run, 4 RBIs, including a double. So he's probably the best hitter right now in this lineup. And Howie Kendrick, who is the World Series hero in Game 7 and also in Game 5 of the NLDS. I mean, what a postseason he had. In 12 at-bats, he is .167. And then as we go down, nothing really that stands out. The pitching staff, I don't know what happened to Steven Strasburg. He got scratched from his start. So I don't know what the deal is with him. The 4 guys that they had start, it was Max Scherzer, Eric Fedde, who actually, he didn't get a win against the Yankees, but that was the game that they won. Patrick Corbin pitched well in a loss, and of course Max Scherzer, or Anibal Sanchez, was the other guys. We start at the top of the 10th. It is Avisail Garcia at the plate with Narvaez, who I guess was the DH. He's a big guy, like a catcher-type frame, first baseman-type frame, standing at second, so probably not a lot of speed, but Avisail Garcia, the former Ray at the plate, he's 2 for 3 in this game. .273 is the batting average on the year. It's a righty-on-righty matchup. Dovoidis Neverauskas is the pitcher for the Pirates. I'm not sure why I even attempted to pronounce that. As we go through the national starting rotation, 0-1 for Scherzer, 5 1/3, 4 earned runs, 6 hits on opening night. Patrick Corbin, no decision, 6 1/3, earned run, 2 hits, a nice start for him. Anibal Sanchez 0 for 1, 0 1 on the year, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 6 hits. And Eric Fetty against the Yankees, pretty surprisingly, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 4 hits. As looks like Avisail Garcia is going to ground out for the first out of the inning, and it'll be Justin Smoke at the plate with Brock Holt on deck. And then out of the bullpen, Will Harris, a guy who was one of the big pieces in their bullpen. He's only pitched an inning. Daniel Hudson has got an inning scoreless. I mean, it's a little early to be talking about stuff like that. Sean Doolittle's got a couple of outs, so that's something that we'll revisit. The lineup has not been great. Rotation not great. I don't know what's going on with Strasburg. So a team definitely to revisit. I'd be interested to see where they are after they play another 5 games. Okay, so the big guy, I don't even remember his name, but he ended up taking third base on a wild pitch. So now with 1 out, the Brewers can bring across a run on a sac fly. That's actually going to be called a pass ball again. Already happened once, I believe, with the Pirates catcher. So the big guy, feet first, got in third base safely. So the Brewers actually will have a chance to take the lead here, even with a sacrifice fly here from Justin Smoke, who's 1 for 4 in the game. He's got a home run on the season, 267 his average. Lefty on righty matchup for Smoke. The 1-0 pitch is low, blocked by the catcher. That one almost got away as well. That would have walked things off. Or no, not walked things off, but that would have given them the lead, I should say. So for the Nationals, oh my gosh, in the bottom of the 9th, it's the Cubs 8, Cincinnati Reds 7 with 2 outs. Now I gotta get that game on here too. Oh man, this is crazy. I'm glad I saw that on my my laptop, because I got to get that up as well. As another pitch low in the dirt. It looks like they're probably going to end up walking Smoke here on a 3-0. I hope I can get this this Reds-Cubs game before it ends. So bottom of the 9th, the Reds have a chance to walk it off here. What an evening this is turning out to be on the William Haynes Show. Probably one of the best moments we've had on the show since we've come back since Super Bowl talk in February. And now they gave Justin Smoke a pitch to hit, but he fouls it back at 3-1. As I'm trying desperately to load up this Reds game. Let's see, I think we're going to get it on the other monitor here. Okay, so it is Joey Votto at the plate. Bases loaded. The Reds are down a run. It is Jeffress, and a 3-1 count to Votto. He fouls it away. No, does he? It looks like it's foul. It is. Wow, what a moment. Right now, these games are going on simultaneously. So the Reds, who were down like 8-1, they've come all the way back. And now with Joey Votto, their best hitter of the year, at the plate, they can get their season turned around after an ugly opening weekend loss to the Tigers. As we look in the Brewers game, Justin Smoke ends up striking out after going up in the count 3-0. The runner at third has to stay, so now the sacrifice fly is out of things. They're going to have to get a base hit from Brock Holt to take the lead. Now the 3-2 to Joey Votto, and that one is up and caught by the center fielder. So the Chicago Cubs, in dramatic fashion, end up closing out that game. A base hit by Votto would have walked things off in Cincinnati. Instead, he flies out to center. And the Cubs, who had a routine 8-1 lead, end up almost blowing it. I guess Jeffrey Jeffress is going to get the save there. What a game. I'm glad we got that one in time. Just to see like literally the last 2 pitches. So just gone final, the Cubs have won 8-7. They now take a 3-1 record, good for first place in the Central, and send the Reds down to 1-3. So a tough start for the Reds, who are expected to be pretty good, as Brock Holt fouls that one back. It's now 0-2. So we're going to close out the books on that game, on the Cubs-Reds game, as it has gone final. And now the final game of the night in the 10th inning, Brewers-Pirates. Last strike for the Brewers here, and then the Pirates will have a chance to walk it off. The Brewers have a runner at third, 2 outs, 0-2 count to Brock Holt. Nebraska's the pitcher on the mound, and the catcher setting up inside. Here's the pitch, and a ground ball foul. I guess we got to get started here as we make our way up from the American League. We'll go from west to east. We'll start with the Houston Astros, who beat up on the Mariners in a 4-game set. They have a 3-1 record. I'll just say this right now. Also, Alex Bregman hit his 100th career homer. Notorious cheater, all that. I don't want to get into that, but they beat up on the Mariners. They won 8-2 the first game, 7-2 the next day. They lost 7-6, so the Mariners did squeak out a win as Brock Holt strikes out. So the Pirates, in a tie game, bottom of the 10th, will have a chance to walk it off with a runner at second base, no outs. And then they did beat the Mariners by a score of 8-5. Now, oh my gosh, wow. So tonight, 9:10 Eastern Time, it is Astros-Dodgers on Fox Sports 1. We are definitely going to be on the air for that, and that is going to be very good radio for sure. Of course, the Astros and Dodgers facing off for the first time since 2017 when the Astros won the World Series, but it was confirmed in a report that the Astros were cheating during said World Series. So the Dodgers are going to want revenge. That is in Minute Maid Park in Houston. So what a dandy that's going to be. I'm glad I saw that. So definitely make sure you tune into that game, or you tune into the William Haynes Show. We'll definitely have that game on the monitor and talk about it. Looking at batting for Houston. Wow, rough start for these guys. Alex Bregman is just batting .250. He's got that home run. George Springer is .063. He's got a home run, though. That's his only hit in 16 at-bats. Wow. Michael Brantley, .467. He's off to a good start. Jose Altuve, .286. Carlos Correa, .308. Martin Maldonado, .455. Where did that come from? A nice start for the catcher. So lineup looks pretty good. And then as we go into pitching, the main headline, as I was trying to say, before I saw that they were playing the Dodgers tomorrow, is Justin Verlander with an elbow issue. It was originally reported that he was done for the year, but Justin Verlander himself came out on Twitter and denied the report. Basically, they're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks per the manager, Dusty Baker. But the way I see it, even if it's a minor injury and you evaluate that in 2 weeks, he's got to heal from it, and then you got to work him back up in a 2-month season. Just keep him out. I mean, he might be ready for playoffs, whatever, but without him, the Astros are honestly going to have a difficult time, I think, making it. I don't think you can have any takeaways from this team just because they're 3-1. They just played the lowly Mariners for 4 games in Houston, so they won 3 of them, so what? But the starting rotation, Verlander 1-0, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 3 hits, also gave 2 home runs. Lance McCullers Jr. is also 1-0, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 5 hits. Zach Greinke got a win as well. No, he did not. It was a no decision. He only went 3 1/3, 3 earned runs, 4 hits. A guy that the Rays blew up in Game 3 of the American League Division Series, and then the bullpen, nothing really stands out. Roberto Osuna, let's see, where's the saves at? It doesn't say saves, but the closer Osuna has yet to give up a run in 2 innings, just 2 hits. As with a runner at second, no outs, with Jared Dyson at the plate, he did lay down a bunt to try and move the runner over. It makes sense, but something certainly that we have yet to see, where the home team, it's tied. Because in that point, honestly, lay down a bunt, move the runner over, and a sac fly. You don't even have to get a base hit, and you can walk it off. Let's see. 0-1 count to Jared Dyson. Let's see if he tries to lay down another bunt. He does, and it looks like did he pull it back? No, he did not. Or I think he fouled it back, so it's 0-2. So it's Adam Frazier on deck, Kevin Newman in the hole. So you think even if Jared Dyson can't get it done, move the run over, that they've got some guys that can drive in a base hit. Remember, it will walk it off. 5-5. Bottom of the 10th. Pirates blew a 5-1 lead. But they have a chance now to redeem themselves after a lengthy rain delay. Not often you see an East Coast game go into past midnight where we are now, as we are in the 3rd hour of the program, as I've got to get a quick wrap on this this weekend in MLB segment. I think now I'm going to really start blowing through, as Jared Dyson did strike out. Just try and get this thing wrapped up. The Athletics, they did get a series victory. They won the series against the Angels 3-1. 7-3 on opening night. It was the grand slam in extra innings. Lost the next one 4-1, but then a 6-4 victory and a 3-0 victory. I'm not even going to talk about stats. I want to get through this, as this game is probably going to get wrapped up. Adam Frazier taking a ball low. As we go down, talk about the Texas Rangers. They did lose that series to the Rockies. They won on opening day in the new stadium 1-0, but then lost 3-2 and 5-2. Corey Kluber shut down at least 4 weeks with shoulder injuries. He did come out after just an inning in his first start, so that is a big blow to their rotation. After it's going to be a broken bat ground out for Adam Frazier, but they do advance the runner to third with 2 outs. So now Kevin Newman will have a chance to be the hero. And now if Kevin Newman can reach base on a walk, or where a fielder's choice, whatever, it'll be Josh Bell up next. So Adam Frazier does move the runner over, but at the cost of that second out. And as we move down the AL West, we'll talk about the Mariners. Actually, no, we already talked about them. They lost that series to the Astros in a kind of embarrassing fashion. And the Los Angeles Angels, they lost that series in Oakland 3-1. Shohei Ohtani got his first start in a couple of years, but did not record an out. Walked a couple people, gave up some hits, some well-hit baseballs. So unknown how that. I mean, they're already struggling with pitching. Anthony Rendon is still out. So just Mike Trout and a couple other guys at the top of the lineup, but that's really all they've got right now for Joe Maddon's Angels. It's an 0-1 count to Adam Frazier. Here's the pitch. Or no, that's Kevin Newman, and the shortstop gets it in time. So for the first time in this 2020 MLB season, we will be headed to an 11th inning, and at that rate, I'm going to be on the air for the remaining 38 minutes that I have. On my bandwidth, I can only go 3 hours live at a time. Remember, if you're listening to this program and you've got this game on your TV, please call me at 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We appreciate everyone that tuned into tonight's show. Breaking down everything baseball that's happened, as I was not on the air Saturday or Sunday. I'm also in the process of moving the WHBC studios up to Tallahassee. I've got boxes surrounding the studio right now, so we'll be in the process of doing that. But I'll try and be on all Monday through Friday after the Rays game to talk about the previous day's baseball that I missed and those days' games, including the Rays. Hopefully taking some Rays calls and things like that as I try and get the word out there. One thing I'll ask, if you're listening to this show and you enjoy it, please share it with people. Trying to get the word out, and having a caller certainly helps kind of the flow as well. So we got through the American League West. Houston Astros and A's tied for first at 3-1. As we move up, we'll talk about the American League Central. It is the Cleveland Indians that we'll talk about first at 2-1. They did win a series against the Royals, so and that was actually an extra inning game as well. I forgot to mention it was the that was the loss. So they won on opening day 2-0. The next day they lost 3-2. It was the Royals took the 3-2 lead on a sacrifice fly, and then the closer for the Royals struck out the side to get the win, and then they beat the Indians beat the Royals the next day 9-2, and they do have a doubleheader with the White Sox tomorrow, so that'll be cool to see them play a couple games and get a better read on them. And then as we go down the Twins, I know they had a back and forth with the White Sox. They won the first game 10-5, then lost 10-3, and then won 14-2. So I'll basically do you a favor and knock out 2-1. Minnesota Twins and the Chicago White Sox, great offense, not so good defense, and pitching, really, I should say. Too early to tell much else. And then we'll talk about the Royals. And we already talked about the Tigers. They got that series win over the Reds and then lost today to the Royals. And now, speaking of the Royals, they did lose that series to the Indians. What is it? 2-3. And then they got a win today over the Tigers, 14-6. And then as we move over to the American League East, it is the Boston Red Sox at 1-3. They lost that series. They won an opening day. A nice start for Evaldi, and then the rest of the pitching staff, Ryan Weber, and I'm blanking on some of the other guys, and they've gone with openers to little success. It's going to be a rough year for Boston. They did lose to the Mets tonight in Fenway. They're going to have some games coming up. I believe it's back-to-back. Like, they'll play in Boston tomorrow, and then they'll go back to Citi Field, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then next, the Toronto Blue Jays at 2-2. They honestly kind of outplayed the Rays. The Rays just kind of came up in the right moments to win that series, and the Jays got that win in Nationals Park over the Nationals to get back to 500. And then the New York Yankees, not a lot to say, 2-1. They did get that series victory over the Nats. Could have gone differently in that third game, but the takeaways: Giancarlo Stanton is back. The farthest hit home runs are all by him so far this season. He's back to his old self that hit 50-plus home runs in 2017. He's going to have a great year. Probably the frontrunner for American League MVP after the first weekend. Gary Sanchez, I think, has looked good. Aaron Judge has looked good. They've got DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Hicks. I don't have to tell you all of it. Garrett Cole, of course. Masahiro Tanaka is going to miss his first time through the rotation, but I was impressed by their starter, Jordan Montgomery. They've got some guys that can fill, and then the bullpen is doing just fine without Aroldis Chapman. And also the Yankees, to note, they were supposed to play in Philadelphia, but that game got canceled as they wait to see the results of the Phillies' COVID tests after they just played the Marlins, who had 11 players test positive, including two additional staff members. As Eric Sogard is going to get a base hit into left field, and that is going to score a run. The runner on second comes across to score. It's an RBI double for the former Ray, Eric Sogard, as the Brewers now in the top of the 11th take a 6-5 lead. So hopefully we can get this show and this game wrapped up. And then as we move on to the Orioles, they got that series win in Fenway. Got blown out the first game and then came back the next 2 days and really took it to the Red Sox in Fenway Park. Red Sox pitching is bad, and some unknown Orioles batters really took advantage. The pitching staff, I guess, has been okay. They limited a pretty good Red Sox offense, so I'm not going to go get on the Orioles bandwagon as the Pirates get a quick out from Lorenzo Cain. Can't move the runner over. They were supposed to play in Miami. I think that would have been a good game to kind of see where those two teams are at that series. The next two games at the least are canceled, but I've heard reports that the Marlins may not be able to play a game for the next 2 weeks. Again, I guess as to maybe to fill airtime until this Brewers-Pirates game gets wrapped up. I might talk and speculate a little bit, but there's not a whole lot that we can talk about right now. And then, of course, the Rays sitting all alone at the American League East. Soak it up while you still can, or maybe not. Maybe they'll go on a run. They're 3-1 record. They lost on opening day. Charlie Morton, 4+, got left in a little bit too long. They could maybe be 4-0 if that decision hadn't been made, but hard to say. The bullpen has looked very good. The offense has gotten hits. They've struggled with runners in scoring position and leaving men on base. And in fact, I want to pull up a stat real quick here as the Brewers put another ball in play, and it is going to be safe as Keaston Hira runs out a single. So it's now runners at the corners with one out, with Christian Yelich up next. Hopefully it can be a double play ball and we can go to the bottom of the 11th. The stat that I wanted to mention is courtesy of course, the Fox Sports Sun broadcast. Rays with runners in scoring position during the first 3 games against the Blue Jays. With runners in scoring position, the Rays were 5 for 28, which is good for a 179 average, but incredibly more frustrating than that 179 number would have you believe. And then tonight, it wasn't after the game, it was during the game, but during the against the Braves, they were 4 for 5, 800 against the Braves with runners in scoring position. So hopefully the Rays can get that thing turned around. 14 runs, I mean, that's a very high offensive output. They are still without Austin Meadows, who's dealing with COVID-19. Hopefully he can get his 2 negative tests soon. Get him back in the lineup, as maybe we'll talk about that, maybe to fill some airtime. As the Brewers have runners on base, and they have already got the lead with Christian Yelich at the plate. Actually, what we're going to do, we're going to take a bit of a quick break at 12:30. Remember, you can call the show, 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. And, of course, the Spreaker chat is open for messages as well, as we'll take your baseball thoughts. Probably right up until close to the 1 o'clock hour as we wait for this very exciting Brewers and Pirates game to wrap up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And we're back on the William Haynes Show at 12:32. We started right at the 10 o'clock hour following the Rays game that they won 14-5. Quick recap of the show. We talked about everything that happened this weekend in baseball, including the Rays' 2 wins over the Blue Jays, 4-1 on Saturday, and 6-5 in 10 innings on Sunday. And, of course, broke down their 14-5 win over the Braves tonight. After this Pirates-Brewers game wraps, we'll break down tomorrow's game and then get out of here. The Brewers, when we went on break, they were up a run. They had runners at the corners with an out. Christian Yelich struck out, and then it was a weak ground ball from Ryan Braun. So now the Pirates are going to have a chance with runner at second base and nobody out to tie this thing up or score 2 runs and walk it off. For your sake and mine, hopefully that is the last of it. I just kind of I didn't want to leave it on a cliffhanger. Have this game, wherever it goes, have it in the archive. I guess until that comes to a close, we'll talk about a little bit of maybe what the Rays are going to do in the meantime. I guess I got to break it open. I was going to save it until the end of the show, but the game preview tomorrow, I guess we can see how long we can draw it out. It is Yonny Chirinos going for the Rays versus Kyle Wright, the righty, going for the Atlanta Braves. Yonny Chirinos getting his first start of the year. I don't know how long he's going to be able to go. He was dealing with COVID-19 until like a week before opening day. So I don't know if he was pitching during that off time or what. I don't know. They haven't said anything. For all we know, he could go 1 or 2 innings, probably closer to 2 or 3. If he get to 4, that's great. I don't see a lot of innings. The Rays going to have to rely on the bullpen. I was not a big fan of the Rays going with Jalen Beeks to get bulk innings. He did give you 3, so you're not going to be able to use him tomorrow. I don't think you can use Trevor Richards as he went 3 innings just 2 days ago. So they're going to have to mix and match with like one inning relievers. Maybe they can get 2 out of a couple of guys. They don't have a lot of people that are fresh. I got to pull up the Rays roster. Ryan Thompson, I already got the name. A guy that hasn't pitched since opening day. The sidearm reliever with a sweeping slider. He's a candidate that I guarantee will play in tomorrow's game. He was warming up in the pen tonight, but the Rays decided to use Jose Alvarado. Diego Castillo, also a guy who only pitched 10 times tonight and got through an inning. I know he just came back from the paternity list, but that was his first game of the season. I think you could pitch him easily on a back-to-back. I know the Rays did that with Alvarado, who pitched 17 pitches and I think 13 or 14 tonight. So definitely no Jose Alvarado tomorrow, but Diego Castillo is in the mix. Ryan Thompson, Oliver Drake, maybe Chaz Rowe. You got Nick Anderson, as Josh Bell just grounded out and moved the runner Kevin Newman over to third base. So it looks like this game, I'm sorry, but if this game goes to 12, I'm going to have to get off the air. I can't make it through however long this game. It's going to be funny to see how long this thing lasts. So yeah, those are the pitchers as we go further down the list. Aaron Liu pitched today. I don't think he would go again tomorrow. So yeah, that's what we said. Ryan Thompson, Diego Castillo, Oliver Drake, Peter Fairbanks, Ryan Thompson. I mean, you can get 5 or 6 pitchers to go easily after however much Yanni Chirinos gives you. And then Kyle Wright, I don't know anything about him. I don't know how the Rays are going to fare. That game starts 6:40 tomorrow, so we'll be on the air probably about the same time as we were tonight, doing this night in baseball, basically, as that's the only sport on right now as we await the NBA comes back this Thursday. I'm not sure how much I'm going to talk about the NBA, as it's pretty much just regular season games for the next 2 weeks after they come back on Thursday night. Like I know in the East, it's like 9 or 10 teams playing for 8 spots, and like the 10th team is like 12 games out of it or something crazy like that. So, I mean, those games don't really mean anything. Seeding means absolutely nothing because there's no home court advantage. I mean, it doesn't really matter who you're going to play. You're going to have to play teams anyway. So the next 2 weeks of NBA basketball is really meaningless. Hockey does come back, let's see, on the 1st, which is this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's this Saturday. For our show's sake, Tampa Bay sports, New York sports, I know both the Rangers and Islanders are in it. I know the Rangers are playing the Hurricanes, and the Islanders are playing the Florida Panthers, and the Lightning are they have a bye, so they're going to play the winners of one of the series. I can't remember how it all shakes out. I know the Bruins are the first seed. I think the Lightning are the second seed. So we might talk some Rangers. I'm familiar with the Rangers, not so much the Islanders, so we might talk a little bit of that. And I guess we're really more of a national show, so really just kind of give you the overview. I'm not a big puck guy. I'm not a hockey buff. More of a baseball, football guy, but talk a little bit about that as it goes on. But right now, which I think is kind of a good thing for the next about week or two, it's going to be mainly a baseball show. So if this baseball season can continue to go, I think we're going to have a lot of fun talking Rays baseball and everything else. So as we talk about the game now on our screen, Brewers 6, Pirates 5, bottom of the 11th. There's a runner at third with 1 out. It is David Phelps on the mound. He's got an inning and a third to his name tonight, yet to allow a run this season. Of course, if the run comes from third, that won't be an earned run. It's Eric Gonzalez. He's got a full count. And Brian Reynolds up next, Guillermo Heredia on deck. Hoping either the Brewers win it or the Pirates can walk it off. The last thing we want, or what baseball wants, is a 12th inning after a rain delay. This is getting kind of ridiculous. It's like 12:40 in the morning. And Eric Gonzalez strikes out looking. So now this gets interesting. Takes out the potential for a sacrifice fly. With 2 outs, runner on third. It's Brian Reynolds in either a lose or tie situation. I say just hit a home run and walk the whole thing off. I guess while we kind of wait for that to happen, I kind of already broke down the Rays game So I kind of already gave that away a little bit. Maybe I'll give a prediction when we talk, when I wrap the thing up. Looking at tomorrow's game, let's see. Tomorrow is Tuesday, of course. That doubleheader with Chicago and Cleveland stands out. They can get that thing played. The White Sox manager was actually not going to go today if that game had not gotten rained out. He's dealing with COVID-19 symptoms, has not been tested yet. I think they're supposed to have, as they're tested every 2 days, he would have that result sooner than later. Of course, as I mentioned in the report, the study that like 30% of the tests are false, whether it's false positive or false negative. So not exactly the most accurate, but that's an interesting story to see how it develops. The Phillies and Yankees are supposed to play, as far as we know, that's going to happen. That'll be Jay Haupt versus Jake Arrieta on FS1, so you can watch that game nationally. That'll be a pretty good contest as you wait for the Dodgers and Astros. That's going to be Walker Buehler getting his first start versus Framber Valdez. I don't know what the deal with Walker Buehler was, why he wasn't ready to go during the Giants series, but good for the Dodgers that he's good to go now. Other games that stand out, not a whole lot. I don't think there's any other series turnovers besides that. It is the Diamondbacks and the Rangers facing off. Merrill Kelly versus Carl Gibson. That won't be a bad one. The Cardinals and Twins get a series started as Brian Reynolds fouls a pitch back. They're down to their final strike, 1-2 count. David Phelps on the mound. Brian Reynolds tonight is 0 for 2. I think he must have came in as a pinch hitter, or maybe he's just been walked a handful of times. Tomorrow's game for the Boston and Mets series, the Mets have not announced their starting pitcher, which I'm not even sure if that's allowed, versus Matt Hall. And then the Cardinals and Twins series, Carlos Martinez versus Homer Bailey, as Brian Reynolds takes a pitch inside. It's now 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. I don't really see a whole lot that stands out. That Dodgers and Astros game, I think, is going to be the highlight of the night, right after the Rays, which, as we said, Kyle Wright versus Yonny Chirinos getting his first start. 2-2 count here to Brian Reynolds. David Phelps on the mound, as we said. Runner at third, 2 outs. And the pitch runs high and inside. Now a full count to him. I'm just going to hop into some play-by-play. If you're familiar with me, 2020 Race Sim. I did that when baseball was off. I did the games on MLB The Show and called them like I was Dave and Andy. That was a lot of fun. So, William Haynes Show After Dark for fun. 12:40 in the morning. Let's do some play-by-play. 3-2 is the count here to Brian Reynolds, as the pitch is going to be swung on and missed. So the Brewers, in dramatic fashion, get the win in the 11th inning. They come back down 1-0, and then they come back down 5-1. And then after a couple of extra innings and a lengthy rain delay, the Brewers pick up a 6-5 win. That's got to stink for the Pirates at home, dealing with that rain delay, and you end up losing the ball game. Certainly not what you want if they're the Pirates. The Pirates drop, I believe, to 1-3, and the Brewers advance, I think, back to 500 at 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they will. Back to 2-2. So a nice win for the Brewers. That was really a nice game to watch. And as we'll wrap the show, I just want to thank everyone that listened. If you're still listening, thank you, as we're almost close to 1 o'clock in the morning. Rays won 14-5 today. That's great. Yonny Chirinos on the mound tomorrow. Not sure how far he's going to go. I think we're going to see a lot of the bullpen. Hopefully the offense can keep it up. Didn't use all their runs up today. We'll see in the second game of this 2-game series. That's about all we've got. We'll be on tomorrow after the game. Hopefully we won't go as long as we did tonight. Almost went 3 hours. Probably about a 2-hour show. Remember the number 352-639-0036 at WHBC. Stream us to Twitter. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.